Those with no skills and low education can walk here. The $70 million contract will be terminated. The moment I said those words, I felt a surge of power coursing through me. This was the major deal with Mr. Smith's company. Canceling it could be a significant blow to my company. But there are things far more important than money. They are my pride as a person, the bond with my employees, and the smile of my granddaughter, Emily. I recalled what I learned from playing high school baseball. Victory doesn't come from individual talent alone. It's about teamwork and the determination to never give up. Now is the time to put that spirit into action. Mr. Smith seeks to control people through money. But we have something far stronger. A heart that values mutual support and compassion. With this one statement, our counterattack begins. We will win. I vowed this to myself. My name is Benjamin Johnson. I'm 62 years old this year. As the president of a small and mid-sized business, I dedicate myself to the daily grind. In my youth, I poured my heart into high school baseball, and the values I gained back then still guide me. At my company, I work alongside my employees, facing challenges together as one team. The importance of teamwork I learned in baseball is something I practice in the business world too. My employees are not just colleagues, they are precious companions to me. I also have a beloved granddaughter. Her name is Emily. She just turned 22 and started her career this year. She's diligent and hardworking, though her lack of confidence concerns me. Emily joined a major corporation that has business ties with my company. The company's president, Mr. Smith, is someone I've met a few times. He appears to be a respectable businessperson on the surface, but there's something peculiar about him. My company may not be large, but the unity among our employees is something I take pride in. It's like a high school baseball team, where each member fulfills their role and supports one another. This bond is our greatest strength. Even amidst the busy workdays, I often find myself reminiscing about my high school baseball days. Standing on the field and chasing the white ball with my teammates to find my youth. The fiery passion I felt back then still burns brightly in my heart today. As I watch Emily grow, I dream of leading my company to greater heights. With the never-give-up spirit I cultivated in baseball, I will continue to forge ahead. One day, I received a call from Emily. Her voice was brimming with excitement. "Grandpa, guess what? I've been selected for an overseas training program at work." "Wow, that's fantastic. Where are you going?" "To New York in the US. It's a one-week program." Hearing her joyous voice brought a smile to my face. It had been 6 months since Emily started her job. She was finally getting accustomed to her work. The overseas training would surely be an excellent opportunity for her. "That's great to hear. Learn as much as you can and enjoy yourself." "Thanks, Grandpa. I'll do my best." After hanging up the phone, I felt a twinge of worry. It was Emily's first time traveling abroad. Would she be all right? But I quickly pushed that thought aside. If it's Emily, she'll be just fine. As I learned in high school baseball, opportunities are meant to be seized. A few days later, I got another call from Emily. This time, she was at the airport. "Grandpa, something's wrong." "What happened? Are you okay?" "Everyone else got money for a taxi, but I didn't." I furrowed my brow. Something didn't add up. "What do you mean? Tell me everything." "Mr. Smith didn't give me any money for the taxi. He said, those with no skills and low education can walk." For a moment, I was at a loss for words. Anger surged through me. "What did you just say? That's unbelievable." "Wait there. I'm coming to get you." "No, Grandpa. I'll handle this. You always told me that no matter how tough things got, you never gave up during your high school baseball days. I'll do the same. I'll try my best." Her words struck me deeply. I was surprised by her strength, but also immensely proud. I see. All right, but if anything happens, call me right away. Okay. Thank you. After the call, I let out a deep sigh. Mr. Smith. What on earth is that man thinking? But for now, all I can do is trust Emily and watch over her. That night, I couldn't sleep. I was consumed with worry for Emily. Looking out the window, I noticed the full moon shining brightly. It reminded me of the night before a big game during my high school days, staring at the moon from the field. That same sense of tension returned to me. The next day, I arrived at the office earlier than usual. I made it a point to check in with my employees more than ever. How's everything going? Is there anything you're struggling with? This was different from how Mr. Smith ran things. For us, fostering a sense of mutual care and support is paramount. During lunch, I ate my packed lunch alone in the office. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. Emily? Did you make it there safely? Yes, somehow. But Grandpa. Her voice sounded weary. What happened? Did something go wrong? The training has started, but Mr. Smith yelled at me in front of everyone. I set my chopsticks down. Mr. Smith again. He said, someone like you, with such low education, couldn't possibly understand something this advanced right in front of everyone. What? I'm trying so hard. Why is this happening? Emily's voice trembled with emotion. Suppressing my anger, I spoke to her gently. Emily, listen to me. You are doing great. Don't let anything Mr. Smith says get to you. Your worth isn't determined by your academic background. But, just hear me out. Back in my high school baseball days, it didn't matter what grades we had. Everyone came together and worked toward a shared goal. That experience shaped who I am today. You might be going through a tough time right now, but I want you to trust my words and keep moving forward toward your own goals. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Grandpa. After hanging up, I clenched my fists tightly. Mr. Smith. You are. But now is not the time to act. I have no choice but to trust Emily and watch over her, as frustrating as it is. That evening, I gathered the younger employees at my company. Listen, everyone, I have something important to share. A person's value isn't in their academic background or title. What matters is their heart, their compassion for others, and their determination to never give up. The employees listened intently, their expressions serious. We are a team. If we support and uplift each other, we can overcome any challenge. A quiet but powerful energy filled the meeting room. It seemed my words resonated with them. That night, I called Emily again. Emily, how are you holding up? I'm okay, somehow. There will be tough times, but you're strong. Face it with the same spirit as one team, one dream. You've got this. Okay. I'll try my best. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. As I worked at my desk, my phone suddenly rang. The number was unfamiliar. This is Benjamin speaking. The caller was Tyler, an old high school baseball teammate of mine. Hey, Benjamin. It's been a while. Tyler. What's up? It's rare to hear from you. Well, there's something that's been bothering me. It's about the company where your granddaughter works. I leaned forward in my chair. Ah, Mr. Smith's company. What about it? I've heard some bad rumors like stuff about mistreating employees, putting pressure on subordinates, and outright harassment. I frowned. As I suspected, there's something off about Mr. Smith. Thanks for the information. I'll keep an eye on things. After hanging up, I sat deep in thought. We were about to finalize a $70 million contract with Mr. Smith's company. But at this rate. That afternoon, Emily called again. Grandpa, I think I've reached my limit. What's wrong? Everyone is avoiding me. It's because Mr. Smith keeps saying bad things about me. I couldn't contain my anger anymore. I understand. That's enough. Come home immediately. But the training. It doesn't matter. Your well-being is more important. Come back right now. Okay. After hanging up, I stood up abruptly. I'd had enough. Mr. Smith, prepare yourself. I gathered my employees. Listen, everyone. I'm about to make an important decision. We're canceling the contract with Mr. Smith's company. The room erupted in murmurs. I understand. This could lead to a significant loss. But there are things we cannot compromise when it comes to our pride as human beings. The employees nodded silently. Their eyes were filled with unwavering trust in me. Now, this is our moment. Let's show them what we're capable of. The next day, Emily returned from her trip and stopped by my company. She looked utterly exhausted, but when she saw me, a trace of relief crossed her face. Welcome back. It's all right now. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I've caused you so much trouble. What are you talking about? You've done nothing wrong. In fact, you've done well. I hugged Emily tightly. Her shoulders trembled. Now, it's time to move forward. Together, we'll carve out a new path. Emily looked up and gave me a faint smile. Back in my high school baseball days, no matter how tough the odds, I never gave up. Yeah. It's the same this time. We'll win. We won't let someone like Mr. Smith defeat us. Little by little, a spark returned to Emily's eyes. I turned to look out the window. The sunset painted the sky a deep red, as if heralding the battle that was about to begin. All right, let's go. Our counterattack begins now. The next morning, I headed to the office early. The events of the previous day weighed heavily on my mind. Emily's worn-out expression was etched into my memory. As I entered the president's office, my eyes fell on the pile of documents on my desk. Among them was the contract with Mr. Smith's company. $70 million. A massive figure. But there are things more important than money. James, come here for a moment. My secretary, James, stepped into the office. Prepare to terminate the contract with Mr. Smith's company. Certainly. James looked momentarily surprised but quickly composed himself. He seemed to understand my resolve. Just then, my phone rang. It was Emily. Emily? What's wrong? Grandpa, I don't want to go to work. Her voice trembled. The previous day's events were clearly still tormenting her. There's no need to force yourself. Take some time to rest. But if I do that, Mr. Smith will. Emily, listen to me. You've done nothing wrong. Take a break and let yourself recover. Okay. Thank you, Grandpa. After the call ended, I let out a deep sigh. Hearing about Emily's suffering felt like a dagger to my heart. That afternoon, I gathered my employees. Listen, everyone. I decided to cancel the contract with Mr. Smith's company. Gasps of surprise spread through the room. I know this could lead to a major financial loss. But there are things we must protect. Signing a deal with a company surrounded by bad rumors could tarnish our own reputation. In the long run, that would bring even greater losses. The employees nodded silently. Their eyes filled with unwavering trust in me. This is where the real test begins. Let's combine our strengths and overcome this crisis together. A quiet resolve filled the meeting room. All right, let's go. Our counterattack starts now. That night, I called Emily again. Emily, how are you holding up? Yeah, I'm feeling a bit calmer now. Good. Don't push yourself. Take it slow and rest. But I have to go back to work tomorrow. Emily, listen to me. No matter how hard things get, your team is there to support you. For me, my team was my high school baseball teammates. For you, your team includes me, your colleagues, and others who understand your struggles. Lean on them when you need to. Okay? You don't have to carry everything alone. Trust your teammates and don't hesitate to ask for help. I understand. Thank you, Grandpa. After hanging up, I gazed out the window. The night sky was filled with stars. I was reminded of the nights before big games in high school, looking up at the stars from the field. I need to reclaim that same pure determination I had back then. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. Looking at the faces of my employees, I could sense their unease about yesterday's decision. Everyone, listen. The decision we made yesterday was the right one. We will not sell our souls for money. Their expressions softened slightly. Now, let's give it our best today. Together, we can overcome any obstacle. That afternoon, Emily called again. Grandpa. Mr. Smith humiliated me again. What happened? Did you go to work? Emily, being the diligent person she is, must have decided to give it another shot. I had told her it was okay to rest, but she had gone anyway. In today's meeting, he completely ignored my proposal. Worse, he said, there's no point in listening to the opinions of someone so incompetent. I shook with anger. Emily, you've done well. You've done absolutely nothing wrong. But he embarrassed me in front of everyone. I really don't think I can go back to work anymore. Emily, listen to me. Back in my high school baseball days, even when we lost, we never gave up. We practiced harder and went into the next game. But there was always a chance of winning in those situations. But this is different. Watching you wear yourself down like this, I can't just stand by. I know. I've even started considering taking a leave of absence. But part of me doesn't want to give up. I want to try a little longer. After the call, I clenched my fists. If I don't act soon, Emily's spirit might break. I began devising a plan. A few days later, my phone rang again. Emily? What's wrong? Grandpa. I think I've reached my limit. What happened? Today, Mr. Smith piled a mountain of paperwork on my desk and said, "Have it all done by tomorrow morning." I trembled with rage. What? That's outrageous. And when I tried to protest, he said, "If you're useless, you can leave." Emily, that's enough. Quit that company. But, Grandpa, don't worry. I'll take care of everything. Come home immediately. Okay. After ending the call, I stood up. I had reached my limit. That night, I contacted my old high school baseball teammates. Though each of us had taken different paths in life, our bond remained strong. Listen, everyone. Right now, I'm facing a huge obstacle. But I have no intention of giving up. Can I count on your support? Without hesitation, my friends offered their help. Thank you. With all of you, I know I can overcome this. After hanging up, I took a deep breath. The real battle begins tomorrow. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. The employees' faces reflected a mix of anxiety and anticipation. Everyone, listen up. Starting today, we embark on a new challenge. We will forge our path without relying on Mr. Smith's company. Light began to return to their eyes, and a small round of applause followed. That day, we worked tirelessly to find new business partners. We made phone calls, held meetings, and prepared proposals. Even Emily seemed to regain her energy. In the evening, I called Emily into my office. Emily, listen to me. You are incredible. Don't let anything Mr. Smith says affect you. Your worth isn't determined by someone like him. Grandpa. We're just getting started. If you'd like, you're welcome to work here at our company. Or, if you want to find another job, that's your choice. I want you to decide what's best for you. Emily nodded, her expression reflecting a sense of resolve. The next day, I headed to the office at dawn. Today was the day to fire the first shot against Mr. Smith. James, are the documents to terminate the contract with Mr. Smith's company ready? Yes, here they are. Good. Prepare them for delivery. A few days later, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. This is Benjamin speaking. The voice on the other end belonged to Mr. Smith. It seemed the documents had reached him. Mr. Johnson, what is the meaning of this? Canceling the contract? Mr. Smith, I have a question for you. Why did you mistreat Emily so cruelly? What are you talking about? That incompetent. I hung up the phone. There was no point in continuing the conversation. I gazed out the window. The sun was beginning to rise. A new day was dawning. The persistent Mr. Smith wasted no time and called again. Mr. Johnson, please, let's not joke around. Canceling this contract would be disastrous for us. This is no joke. My decision is final. But it's a $70 million deal. Surely your company will suffer significant losses as well. There are things more important than money, like our pride as human beings. I see. However, simply sending documents to cancel the contract isn't acceptable. We need to meet in person to discuss this. I hesitated for a moment, but I agreed, intending this to be our final discussion. That afternoon, Mr. Smith visited my company. We sat across from each other in the conference room. Mr. Johnson, please reconsider. This contract is mutually beneficial. Mr. Smith, you treat people as if they were objects. I cannot do business with a company like yours. What are you talking about? Business is all about results. Sacrifices are sometimes necessary. Sacrifices? Are you calling trampling on people's dignity a necessary sacrifice? Mr. Johnson, you're talking about your granddaughter, aren't you? She lacks the necessary skills. I'm simply being strict in my guidance. My body trembled with anger. Guidance? You call undermining someone's self-worth and stripping away their dignity guidance? Mr. Johnson, calm down. Emotions have no place in business. No, you're wrong. It's in business that people's hearts matter most. Supporting and caring for one another is the foundation of real success. You're being naive, Mr. Johnson. That mindset won't survive in this harsh world. No, the one who won't survive is you. A company that has lost its humanity has no future. Mr. Smith gave a cold smirk. I see. It seems there's no point in continuing this discussion. I'll take my leave now. After Mr. Smith left, I let out a deep sigh. This is not the end. In fact, the real battle is just beginning. That evening, I called Emily. Emily, listen to me. I've completely terminated the contract with Mr. Smith's company. Grandpa. Is it because of me? No, it's not because of you. This was a decision to protect our pride. But, will the company be okay? Don't worry. We have the strength to overcome this. We'll get through it. The sparkle in Emily's eyes gradually returned. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. I gathered my employees and explained the situation. Everyone, listen. The contract with Mr. Smith's company has been fully terminated. The road ahead will be tough. But we have something far more valuable, our pride and our compassion for one another. As long as we have that, we can overcome any challenge. I no longer saw uncertainty in their expressions. From that day forward, the company began to change. Slowly but surely, we started gaining new business partners. One evening, Emily approached me. "Grandpa, do you have a moment?" "What is it, Emily?" "I've come up with an idea for a new project." "That's fantastic. Tell me about it." Emily eagerly explained the details of her proposal, her eyes shining with a brilliance I hadn't seen before. "That's an excellent idea, Emily. Let's get started on it right away." "Really?" "Thank you, Grandpa." Watching her leave with excitement, my heart swelled with pride. Emily was growing stronger. However, late that night, something unexpected happened. My phone rang, displaying an unfamiliar number. "This is Benjamin." The voice on the other end belonged to Ryan, an employee of Mr. Smith's company. "Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry to bother you at this late hour, but I have critical information." "What is it?" "Actually, Mr. Smith is planning to destroy your company." "What did you just say?" "Mr. Smith is pressuring your business partners not to work with your company." I was stunned. I couldn't believe he would go that far. "Thank you for the information. Please take care." After hanging up, I sat deep in thought. Although I was furious at Mr. Smith's underhanded tactics, I knew I had to remain calm and devise a solid plan. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. I gathered the employees and explained the situation. "Listen, everyone. Mr. Smith is trying to destroy our company. He's pressuring our business partners against working with us." Shocked murmurs rippled through the group. "But we won't let him win. On the contrary, we'll use this as an opportunity to transform ourselves. We'll deliver even higher quality work and establish new partnerships. His pressure is nothing compared to the strength of our bonds." A look of determination began to replace the unease in their eyes. "Let's go. Let's show them what we're made of." From that day, we worked harder than ever. Late nights became routine as we brainstormed new ideas, drafted proposals, and reached out to potential clients. Emily threw herself into her project, pushing it forward with unwavering dedication. A few days later, I received a call from one of my old high school baseball teammates. "Hey, Benjamin. I've heard about your situation. Sounds tough." "Yeah, it's been challenging, but we're managing. Actually, my company is planning a new project. We'd like to hire your company for it. How about it?" I was speechless with surprise and joy. "Really? Thank you. That's a huge help." "Of course. We're teammates, right? We help each other out when it counts." After the call, I shared the news with my employees. Their faces relaxed, and a sense of hope filled the room. That evening, Emily came to see me. "Grandpa, my project, it's going well." "Really? That's wonderful news." "Yeah." At Mr. Smith's company, no one ever listened to my ideas. But here, everyone takes me seriously. Tears shimmered in Emily's eyes. But this time they were tears of happiness. "Emily, you've grown so much. I'm incredibly proud of you." "Thank you, Grandpa. I feel like I can finally believe in myself now." I hugged Emily tightly, feeling her growth and warmth swelling in my chest. The next day, I headed to the office early in the morning. As I sat at my desk reviewing documents for the new project, my phone suddenly rang. It was Mr. Smith. "This is Benjamin." "Mr. Johnson, what do you think you're doing, poaching my employees? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. My top employees are resigning one after another, saying they're joining your company." I was taken aback. I hadn't heard anything about this. "Mr. Smith, I haven't done anything." "Your employees must be making their own decisions." Unbelievable. Is this your way of seeking revenge? No. This is simply the result of people seeking a better working environment. "Mr. Johnson, you're naive about the business world. You'll regret this one day." The call abruptly ended. I let out a deep sigh. That afternoon, employees who had left Mr. Smith's company began arriving for interviews one after another. Listening to their stories, the harsh working conditions at Mr. Smith's company became glaringly evident. "Everyone, here we value people. We believe in supporting and caring for each other. Let's work together to build a company that embodies these values." The new recruits nodded firmly. That evening, I called Emily. "Emily, listen. Many people from Mr. Smith's company are joining us. I'd like you to use your experience to help support them." "Me? Can I really do that?" "You can. I know you can." Emily paused for a moment, then nodded resolutely. "Okay, Grandpa. I'll do my best." I sensed a newfound strength within her. The next day, I headed to the office early in the morning, ready to welcome our new team members. "Everyone, listen up. Starting today, we have new members joining us. They may have endured difficult experiences, but things will be different here. Let's create a workplace where we support and care for one another." A round of applause erupted from the employees. As I glanced out the window, I saw the sunrise casting a warm glow. It's the start of a new day, and the beginning of our new challenge. Let's make history together. The employees responded with a resounding, determined reply. I stood tall, ready to take the first step toward our new challenge. Several days had passed since we terminated the contract with Mr. Smith's company. Our company was thriving with new energy, thanks to the arrival of new members. However, Mr. Smith's interference continued. His pressure on our business partners was intensifying, and our financial situation was gradually becoming strained. One morning, I was in my office working on a new strategy. Then my secretary, James, rushed in hurriedly. "Mr. Johnson, there's a serious issue." "What is it, James?" "Mr. Smith's company has signed a major contract with Anderson Electric, one of our key partners." I frowned deeply. Anderson Electric was a crucial partner for us. This was a significant blow. "I see. Please contact Mr. Anderson immediately." After James left the room, I sighed heavily. Mr. Smith's tactics were more cunning than I had anticipated. But giving up wasn't an option. A few minutes later, I was connected to Mr. Anderson by phone. "Mr. Anderson, I apologize for the sudden call." "Mr. Johnson, I assume this is about the contract with Smith Corporation." "Yes." "What does this mean for our partnership?" "I'm sorry to say, but the contract with Smith Corporation includes an exclusivity clause. It makes working with other companies difficult." My mind raced. I couldn't let things end here. "Mr. Anderson, may I request a meeting to discuss this in person?" After a brief hesitation, Mr. Anderson agreed. That afternoon, I visited Anderson Electric. Seated across from Mr. Anderson in the conference room, I could see an apologetic expression on his face. "Mr. Anderson, I deeply appreciate our long-standing relationship. I was surprised by the sudden change in contracts. Mr. Johnson, I truly apologize. But Smith Corporation's proposal was very appealing. I'm well aware of Mr. Smith's methods. However, business isn't just about numbers." "What do you mean by that?" "Our relationship isn't merely transactional. It's built on years of trust and mutual growth, something numbers can't quantify." Mr. Anderson listened silently. I learned something from high school baseball. For a team to win, individual skills are important, but teamwork is essential. Isn't business the same? That's true. We've had a long relationship, after all. We're not just business partners, we're collaborators in growth. While Smith Corporation's proposal may seem attractive in the long term, isn't a relationship based on mutual understanding and support far more valuable? Mr. Anderson seemed deep in thought. Mr. Anderson, please reconsider. I believe our relationship is far too valuable to discard so easily. I see, Mr. Johnson. I'll review the contract with Smith Corporation. Your words have truly resonated with me. I breathed a sigh of relief. There was still hope. Upon returning to the office, I immediately convened a strategy meeting. I gathered all the employees and explained the current situation. Everyone, listen up. Mr. Smith's interference continues, but we still have a chance. Now is the time to come together and fight as one. The employees' expressions grew resolute. What is our greatest strength? It's our ability to care for one another. I'll apply the teamwork spirit I learned in high school baseball to our business. Emily raised her hand. I have a new idea, a proposal for a product that can compete with Smith Corporation. That's fantastic, Emily. Let's all work together to make your idea a success. The room was filled with renewed determination and hope. From the next day, we began implementing our new strategy. Emily's product idea became the focal point, and the entire company rallied around its development. Late nights were spent brainstorming ideas, creating prototypes, and refining our approach. One day, I called Emily over. Emily, your growth has been remarkable. You're like a completely different person compared to when you were at Mr. Smith's company. Grandpa. Here, I can be myself. Honestly, I was worried people might think I got in through connections. But everyone knows I went through the proper exams to join. I see. Your growth inspires everyone here. And even if they didn't know about the exams, no one in this company would ever treat you poorly. You can rest assured about that. Emily nodded, a bright smile on her face. 2 weeks after development began, the prototype for our new product was finally completed. I immediately contacted Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson, I'd like to present our new product to you. A new product? That sounds interesting. Please, I'd love to see it. The next day, we visited Anderson Electric. Together with Emily and the development team, we conducted a presentation for the new product. This is the new product we've developed. It improves efficiency by 30% and reduces costs by 20% compared to existing products. Mr. Anderson's eyes lit up. This is incredible. Mr. Johnson, your company has truly shown its capabilities. Thank you. This is the result of our employees' hard work. I've made my decision. The contract with Smith Corporation will be nullified. We'll continue doing business with your company. We erupted in celebration. This was the first step in our counterattack. Back at the office, I gathered all the employees. Everyone, we did it. Our partnership with Anderson Electric has been restored. This is all thanks to your hard work. Cheers and applause filled the room. But this is just the beginning. Our real battle starts now. That night, I called Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I hear the contract with Anderson Electric has been nullified. Mr. Johnson, surely not. Business is all about results. Weren't those your words? Ugh. Mr. Smith, a company that succeeds by trampling on people has no future. Sooner or later, your company will meet the same fate. Mr. Johnson, how dare! I hung up the phone. This wasn't the end. If anything, the real battle was just beginning. The next day, I headed to the office early in the morning. I gathered the employees and set a new goal. Everyone, listen up. We've achieved a victory, but we can't stop here. Our next goal is to become the industry leader. The employees' eyes shone with renewed determination. As long as there are people like Mr. Smith in this industry, it cannot be healthy. Let's show what ethical and meaningful business can look like. Emily stood up. I have a new idea, an innovative business model that leverages our strengths. That's excellent, Emily. Let's all work together to bring her plan to life. From that day, we redoubled our efforts. We focused on building the new business model, maintaining strong relationships with existing clients, and securing new ones. Every employee gave their all. That weekend, I reunited with my old high school baseball teammates. Each of them was thriving in their own way. Benjamin, I've heard about your fight with Mr. Smith. Sounds like things are going well. Yeah, it's all thanks to everyone's support. Of course. We're teammates. We've always got each other's backs. My chest swelled with warmth. This bond was our greatest weapon. The following week, our company was featured in an industry magazine. The article highlighted our people-first management and innovative business model, earning us widespread praise. That evening, I received a call from Mr. Smith. Mr. Johnson. Yes, Mr. Smith. What can I do for you? I've lost. I have to acknowledge your company's success. Mr. Smith, this wasn't a competition. What matters is valuing people and growing together. After a moment of silence, he spoke in a low voice. You're right. Perhaps I need to rethink my approach. After the call, I looked out the window. The sunset painted the sky a deep crimson. A breathtaking scene that seemed to herald the dawn of a new era. Since that confrontation with Mr. Smith, our company has continued to grow steadily. The new business model has brought fresh energy to the industry and attracted the attention of many companies. Yet, the shadow of Mr. Smith's actions had not completely disappeared. One day, I attended an industry networking event. There, I unexpectedly ran into an old acquaintance, Daniel. Mr. Johnson, it's been a while. Your company's recent success has been truly impressive. Thank you. It's all thanks to the hard work of my employees. By the way, have you heard anything about Smith Corporation recently? I frowned. No, not particularly. Has something happened? Daniel glanced around cautiously before lowering his voice. Actually, there's a rumor going around that Smith Corporation has been engaging in unethical practices. They're allegedly obtaining competitors' confidential information illegally and using it to their advantage. I couldn't hide my shock. I had suspected issues with Mr. Smith's methods, but this was beyond anything I'd imagined. Is that true? It's still just a rumor, but I've heard it from multiple sources. You should tread carefully. That night, I couldn't sleep. If Mr. Smith's unethical behavior were true, it could have serious repercussions for the entire industry. Should I take action? The next day, I gathered my trusted executives and explained the situation. Everyone, listen. I've come across critical information about Smith Corporation. I shared the rumors I had heard the previous night in detail. Mr. Johnson, this is a serious matter. Shouldn't we take some countermeasures? Yes, but we must proceed cautiously. Spreading unsubstantiated rumors could damage our credibility. Emily raised her hand. Is there anything we can do? After all, standing up and competing fairly is what we stand for, right? We decided to pursue two strategies simultaneously. First, gather evidence of Smith Corporation's misconduct. Second, make our company a model of transparency and ethical management for the industry. Emily and a team of young employees took charge of the transparency project. Grandpa, we've drafted our proposal. We'll make all transactions publicly available online, clarify our salary structure, and introduce regular external audits. That's an excellent idea, Emily. Let's put it into action. Meanwhile, I enlisted the help of my high school baseball teammates to gather information on Smith Corporation's unethical practices. Benjamin, be careful. Mr. Smith is a formidable opponent. Without solid proof, he could retaliate legally. I understand. That's why we'll proceed with caution. Weeks passed, and our transparency project garnered significant attention. Many companies showed interest in our efforts, and inquiries poured in. One day, a journalist from an industry magazine visited for an interview. "Mr. Johnson, your company's initiative has had a huge impact on the industry. What inspired you to start this transparency project?" The turning point was. The journalist's question made me pause. I decided to answer honestly. To be truthful, I heard rumors of unethical practices within the industry. That made me realize the importance of leading by example. Unethical practices. Are you referring to a specific company? As these are just rumors, I won't name any specific companies. What's important is steering the industry in a healthier direction. The journalist took detailed notes. When the article was published, it caused a stir in the industry. Many companies supported our initiative and began implementing similar transparency measures. At the same time, Smith Corporation's behavior became noticeably more cautious. There were even reports of clients deciding not to renew contracts with them. One day, Mr. Smith called me. "Mr. Johnson, that article of yours stirred up unnecessary trouble." "Mr. Smith, I didn't name any specific company." "If you feel it applies to you, perhaps you should reflect on your conscience." Ugh. The call ended abruptly. That night, I called Emily. "Emily, your contributions have been extraordinary. The success of the Transparency Project owes much to you." "Thank you, Grandpa." "But it was a team effort. I just applied the teamwork principles you taught me." "I see. You've grown so much." Emily smiled proudly. The next day, I arrived at the office early. That afternoon, groundbreaking news arrived. "Mr. Johnson, this is urgent. There's a whistleblower from Smith Corporation." "What did you say?" "Yes. A former employee of Smith Corporation has turned over evidence of their illicit dealings to the police." I couldn't hide my shock. Finally, the wheels of justice were in motion. That evening, the news broadcast showed footage of a police raid on Smith Corporation. It was an event that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. The next day, I held an emergency press conference. First, I want to express my deep regret over this situation. At the same time, I believe this should be seen as an opportunity to cleanse and reform the industry as a whole. Mr. Johnson, did your transparency project anticipate such an event? No, not at all. We simply felt the need to emphasize the importance of ethical and transparent management. As industry leaders, we remain committed to integrity and transparency. The press conference was broadcast nationwide, and our company's stock price soared. That night, I reached out to my high school baseball teammates. "Benjamin, you've done it. Your courageous actions are changing the industry." No, this was a team effort. The spirit of teamwork I learned in high school baseball is what guided us through. That's right. Our bond is as strong as ever. After the call, I gazed out the window. The stars in the night sky seemed to shine with hope for the future. The next day, I gathered all the employees. "Everyone, listen up. Our actions have brought significant change to the industry. But we can't be complacent. The real challenge lies ahead." Determined expressions filled the room. The situation with Smith Corporation is unfortunate, but let's use this moment to guide the industry toward a better future. We will lead by example. Several weeks later, we were honored by the Industry Association. We received the prestigious Transparency in Business Award. During the award ceremony, I addressed the audience. This award belongs not to me but to every employee in our company. And it was the spirit of teamwork I learned in high school baseball that brought us here. The room erupted in applause. That night, Emily and I celebrated together. "Grandpa, congratulations. I'm so proud of you." "Emily, this is also thanks to you. Your growth has fueled the company's growth. Emily smiled shyly. Our journey has only just begun. Let's continue giving it our all. Yes. As we clinked glasses, I reflected on how far we'd come. The spirit I learned in high school baseball, the bonds with my teammates, and the determination to never give up. All of it has paid off at this very moment. Outside the window, the full moon shone brightly, radiating the same brilliant, powerful light as the one I used to gaze at from the field. Its radiant and powerful light mirrored the bright future I envisioned for us. Let's give it our best tomorrow. In the weeks following the award, our company continued to thrive. Since the exposure of Smith Corporation's misconduct, countless companies had taken interest in our business model, and new partnership inquiries were pouring in. One morning, I was heading to the office early. At that moment, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. This is Benjamin. The caller was Alex, a former employee of Smith Corporation. Mr. Johnson, I need to talk to you. I have definitive evidence of Mr. Smith's misconduct. Is that true? Yes. However, if I turn this information over to the police, it might put my safety at risk. I understand. Let's meet in a safe location. I sprang into action immediately. I contacted Tyler, a high school baseball teammate who now worked as a police officer. Tyler, I need a favor. There's someone with critical evidence of Mr. Smith's misconduct. Can you ensure their safety? Got it. Leave it to me. That afternoon, I met secretly with Alex, the whistleblower, alongside Tyler. The evidence Alex provided was more shocking than I had anticipated. Systematic bribery, tax evasion, and sabotage of competitors orchestrated by Mr. Smith. All meticulously documented. This is damning evidence. Tyler, can the police act on this? Absolutely. This is more than enough. I'll report this to my superiors and get things moving right away. After ensuring Alex's safety and submitting the evidence to the police, I returned to the company. I gathered the executives and explained the situation. Everyone, listen. We've obtained conclusive evidence of Mr. Smith's misconduct. The police are expected to take action soon. Mr. Johnson, what should we do in the meantime? We'll continue operating as we always have, with integrity and transparency. However, we need to alert businesses currently working with Smith Corporation. Emily raised her hand. Is there something we can do? I've been brainstorming a new service to support companies affected by Smith Corporation. That's an excellent idea, Emily. Tell us more. Emily explained enthusiastically. Her proposal included emergency financing and operational support for small and medium-sized businesses that might face crises if they abruptly stopped working with Smith Corporation. Brilliant. Let's start preparing immediately. That evening, Tyler contacted me again. Benjamin, the raid on Smith Corporation is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Be prepared for what's coming. I see. Thank you. The next morning, news channels were flooded with footage of the raid on Smith Corporation. The entire industry was shaken, but we remained composed. Everyone, stay focused on your work. We must set an example for the industry during this upheaval. The employees nodded and worked diligently. That afternoon, I held an emergency press conference. First, I'd like to express my deep regret over the current situation. However, I hope this serves as an opportunity for the entire industry to evolve in a healthier direction. Mr. Johnson, did your company anticipate Smith Corporation's misconduct when you launched the Transparency Project? We weren't aware of any specific misconduct. However, we recognized the inherent risks in opaque management practices and felt it was vital to promote transparency. What about companies impacted by their dealings with Smith Corporation? We're launching a new service to support such businesses. Our goal is to help them navigate this crisis and move forward together. The press conference was broadcast nationwide, and our response was widely praised. That night, I called Emily. Emily, your support service idea has received an incredible response. Really? I'm so glad. Yes. Your growth has been extraordinary. You're like a completely different person compared to your time at Smith Corporation. Grandpa. Here, people take my ideas seriously. That gave me the confidence to keep going. I see. Your growth is directly contributing to the company's success. Emily smiled proudly. The next day, news broke of Mr. Smith's arrest. As the industry reeled, our company received an influx of requests for assistance. Everyone, listen. This is our moment to prove our worth. Let's do everything we can to support struggling businesses. The employees tackled their work with renewed vigor. Emily and her support team worked late into the night every day. A few days later, we received a call from the industry association. They wanted us to take the lead in establishing a new company to take over Smith Corporation's clients. Everyone, we've received a major proposal. They want us to establish a new company to take over Smith Corporation's clients. Mr. Johnson, this is a great opportunity. But isn't the risk also significant? That's true. However, we have the strength to overcome it. We can do it. The teamwork spirit can guide us here, too. I nodded deeply at Emily's words. All right, let's take on the challenge. But there's a condition: complete transparency in management and the utmost respect for employee rights. The industry association quickly agreed, and preparations for the new company began. During the preparations, I received a request to meet from Mr. Smith. It was the first contact since his arrest. After some hesitation, I decided to meet him. In the detention center's visitation room, I faced a visibly worn-out Mr. Smith. Mr. Johnson, I didn't think things would go this far. Mr. Smith, this wasn't a contest. What matters is creating a healthy industry. You're right. I was wrong. Even if you succeed by trampling others, in the end, you'll always pay for it. You've realized it too late. Yes. But I believe your company will lead the industry forward. I nodded silently. When I returned to the company, preparations for the new company were in their final stages. Everyone, this is the last push. Don't forget our principles. The employees worked tirelessly. Finally, the new company, Phoenix, was established. At the launch press conference, I said, "The name of this company symbolizes rising from the ashes. Overcoming past mistakes and forging a new future, that is Phoenix's mission." The room erupted in applause. That night, Emily and I celebrated together. Grandpa, this is incredible. To accomplish something this big is amazing. No, this wasn't just me. It's thanks to you and every single employee. I need to work even harder. Yes, but don't overdo it. Our strength lies in the care we show for one another. As we clinked our glasses, I reflected. The spirit I learned in high school baseball, the bonds with my teammates, and the determination to never give up. All of it has come to fruition in this moment. The next morning, I headed to the office early. It was Phoenix's first day. The employees' faces showed a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Everyone, listen up. Today marks the beginning of our new challenge. There's nothing to fear. As long as we have our mutual care and support, we can overcome any obstacle. Determination lit up in their eyes. Let's go. Our story has only just begun. A round of applause erupted from the employees. Standing tall, I took the first step toward our new future. Outside, the sun was beginning to rise. Its glow seemed to illuminate our path ahead. I was reminded of the sunrises I watched from the field before games in high school. the pure determination and the trust in my teammates. Those feelings are what sustain us now. On my desk, there's a photo of my high school baseball team. The smiles of my old teammates still give me courage today. Taking a deep breath, I began my work. The road ahead will surely be anything but smooth. However, with these teammates, I am confident we can overcome anything. With that certainty in my heart, I took another step forward. 1 year had passed since the establishment of Phoenix. Our company had solidified its position as an industry leader, achieving unprecedented success. We not only took over Smith Corporation's clients but also acquired new ones, resulting in a 200% increase in revenue compared to the previous year. One day, I called Emily into my office. "Emily, I'd like to promote you to vice president." "What? Me?" "Yes. Your hard work and growth have greatly contributed to the company's success. You've proven yourself more than capable." With tears in her eyes, Emily nodded. "Thank you, Grandpa. I'll do my best." That evening, I gathered all the employees to announce the decision. "Everyone, I have an announcement. I've decided to promote Emily to vice president. Her effort and growth embody the spirit of our company. Let's aim even higher with her leadership at the center." A loud round of applause filled the room. The following week, the industry association contacted us. They wanted to adopt our management model as the industry standard. "Everyone, our hard work has paid off. We will now be the example for the entire industry." A sense of pride lit up in the employees' eyes. That night, I celebrated with my high school baseball teammates. "Benjamin, you've done it. Your principles have changed the industry." No, this wasn't just me. It was the support of everyone around me. My friends smiled and nodded. The next morning, I sat in the quiet office with a cup of coffee. From here on, I'll aim for even greater heights with my team. Muttering those words, I got to work on another new day. 6 months had passed since Mr. Smith's arrest. The trial concluded with a 10-year prison sentence, and he was sent to prison. One day, I received a letter from the prison. The sender was none other than Mr. Smith. Opening it, I found words of remorse. "Mr. Johnson, I made a grave mistake. I've learned the hard way that success achieved by trampling on others will always bring retribution in the end." I let out a deep sigh. The downfall of Mr. Smith had become a significant topic within the industry. A few days later, Tyler, my high school baseball teammate and now a police officer, called me. "Benjamin, it's about Mr. Smith. He's causing trouble even in prison. He's had conflicts with other inmates and has been placed in solitary confinement." "I see. That's not all. Former employees of Smith Corporation are coming forward with testimonies, revealing even more misconduct. Additional charges are being considered." I listened silently. Even though he was a former rival, I couldn't help feeling conflicted. That evening, I spoke with Emily. "Grandpa, I heard about Mr. Smith." "Yes. We must never take pleasure in someone else's misfortune, right?" "That's right. While his actions were unforgivable, we must remain humble." Emily nodded quietly. The following week, an industry magazine published an article about Mr. Smith. It revealed that Smith Corporation's bankruptcy proceedings had been completed and that Mr. Smith himself was burdened with massive personal debt. The article also detailed the fallout for his family. His wife had filed for divorce, and his children were struggling with education and career prospects. Reading the article, I recalled lessons from my high school baseball coach. He taught us that how you play the game matters just as much as the outcome. That evening, I gathered the employees. "Everyone, listen. After hearing about Mr. Smith, there's something I want to share. We must never take pleasure in the misfortune of others. It's crucial to remain humble and sincere at all times." The employees nodded with serious expressions. We will continue conducting business with integrity and contributing to the growth of the industry. That is our mission. A quiet sense of resolve filled the meeting room. That night, I received another letter from Mr. Smith. Mr. Johnson, I've finally begun to truly confront my mistakes. The time I've had in prison has given me a chance to reflect deeply on my life. When I'm released, I want to find a way to contribute to society, even in a small way. As I read the letter, I felt a mix of emotions. Can people truly change? Or is this just another calculated move by Mr. Smith? Regardless, all I could do was stay true to my principles and continue managing the company with integrity. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. It was the start of a new day. With Mr. Smith's story in the back of my mind, I resolved to give my all once again. 5 years had passed since Phoenix was established. Our company had become a top leader in the industry, achieving unparalleled success. Revenue had grown fivefold, and the number of employees had tripled. One day, I sat in my office with Emily. Emily, I have something important to tell you. What is it, Grandpa? I've decided to step away from managing the company. I want you to take over as president. Emily looked surprised but quickly composed herself. I understand. I'll carry on your vision with all my heart. That afternoon, I gathered all the employees for an announcement. Everyone, I've decided to step down from management. I'm appointing Emily as the new president. There was a moment of astonished murmurs, followed by resounding applause. The following week, we received a call from the Industry Association. Our management model was to be adopted as a benchmark for small and medium-sized businesses nationwide. Grandpa, did you hear? Our efforts have been recognized. Yes, you've done an incredible job. After retiring, I dedicated myself to coaching youth baseball. As a local Little League coach, I taught children the joys of baseball and the importance of teamwork. One day, Emily visited my home. Grandpa, the company is starting a new project. We're going to teach business fundamentals to children in developing countries. That's wonderful. If anyone can make it a success, it's you and your team. Thank you. I want to pass on the lessons you taught me to children around the world. I felt my heart swell with pride. The following weekend, Emily and I went on an overseas trip together. Time away from the company and spent in leisurely relaxation. They too are the result of years of hard work. Relaxing on the beach, I turned to Emily and said, Emily, you've done an amazing job. I'm so proud of you. Grandpa. I should be the one thanking you. I wouldn't be who I am today without you. As we watched the sunset together, I reflected. The spirit I learned in high school baseball, the bonds with my teammates, and the determination to never give up. These have now brought me such profound happiness. After the trip, I returned to the baseball field as a coach. Watching the children's lively expressions, I felt a deep sense of fulfillment. After practice one day, a young boy approached me. Coach, do you think I can grow up to be someone like you? Of course you can. If you dream big, cherish your teammates, and never give up, you'll definitely achieve it. The boy nodded enthusiastically, his eyes shining. That night, I sat in my living room, gazing at a photo of my high school baseball team. The pure passion we had back then had laid the foundation for my happiness today. Thank you, everyone. I whispered softly as I began preparing for the next day's coaching. Passing on important values to the next generation. That is my greatest happiness now. Wait, what the hell is this? I was stunned. On my wife Molly's employee ID, the words "incompetent middle school graduate" were written in bold letters. My hands, holding the ID, trembled uncontrollably. My head was filled with rage. I knew that Troy, the department head, had always looked down on Molly because her highest level of education was middle school. But I never imagined an adult would stoop to something this childish. Who made this? I muttered, half in disbelief. Of course, it was Troy, Molly answered. And then, I made a call. The person didn't answer, so I kept calling again and again. Before I realized it, I had called at least 10 times. Finally, on the 11th attempt, they picked up. Isaac? It's me. I was in a business meeting and couldn't answer, but when I saw 10 missed calls from you, I have to admit I was a little scared. Normally, you wait before calling back, right? Oh, this is what they call blowing up my phone, isn't it? I may be old, but I know some slang. Ha ha ha. The person on the other end burst into laughter, but I had no intention of laughing alone. Instead, I spoke, my voice laced with anger. Mr. Sawyer? The $634 million contract is off. I'm shutting your company down. What? The voice on the other end shouted in shock. Wait, hold on. What's this all about? And so, my counterattack began. My name is Isaac Tucker. I'm 30 years old. I've been married for 5 years and live with my wife, who's the same age as me. Her name is Molly, and we got married when we were both 25. We don't have kids, and since we both work, we have a system. On weekdays, Molly, who gets home earlier, cooks dinner, and on weekends and holidays, I take care of the meals. I first met Molly when I was 19, working part-time at a coffee chain. She had been working full-time since she was 16, meaning she had 3 more years of work experience than me despite being the same age. To my inexperienced self, she seemed dazzling. She was confident, quick, and efficient, handling customers with ease, preparing orders, and giving clear directions to the staff. To anyone watching, she was a top-tier employee. That's why, at first, I was convinced she was older than me. But one day, after our shift ended, we happened to leave work together. And she casually said, I'm actually the same age as you, Isaac. I was so shocked I blurted out, no way. You're kidding, right? She misunderstood and pouted. What? Do I look that old to you? The hurt look on her face stuck with me. Of course, I quickly reassured her that wasn't what I meant. Looking back, I never imagined that our awkward first interaction would lead to marriage years later. Anyway, to me, Molly always seemed like a dependable, older sister-type figure. I quit that part-time job after about 2 years, but Molly, being a full-time employee, stayed on longer. When we started talking seriously about marriage, Molly hesitated. My job requires working weekends, which means our days off won't match. Maybe I should look for something else. I told her, don't worry about me. You should do whatever makes you happy. But a few months before our wedding, she decided to change jobs and became an office worker at a manufacturing company. Do you regret leaving the coffee shop? I asked. Not really. Thinking long-term, I figured an office job would be better. Plus, Mr. Sawyer told me during the interview that if I work hard and get promoted, my salary will go up. And honestly, I'm just happy I get weekends off now, she said. I felt a little guilty, knowing she made this decision partly for our marriage, but I was relieved she found a new job. And I was ready to support her all the way. For a while, she seemed to be doing fine. But one day, my department head, Troy, is such a jerk. He keeps bringing up my education. Saying things like, you're just a low education worker. She came home looking exhausted. I knew that even though Molly hadn't gone to high school, she was incredibly capable once she learned something. Don't let it get to you. What matters isn't your education, it's whether you can actually do the job, I reassured her. Luckily, Molly was naturally cheerful. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. If I work hard and prove myself, they'll have to recognize me, she said, raising her fists in determination. I admired her positivity and dedication all over again. For a while, she didn't complain about work. But then, she came to me again. "Isaac, do you think I'm useless?" she asked, looking sad, so I was shocked. "Of course not. Who told you that?" "It was Troy," she admitted. I thought to myself, Troy again, feeling a surge of frustration. I despised him for speaking so poorly about my wife. But since I had never met the man myself, I decided to focus on the most important thing, lifting Molly's spirits right in front of me. "I know just how capable you are, Molly. It must be tough working under a department head like that. But there are people who will recognize your worth. Just keep believing in yourself and doing your job with confidence." I told her that. Molly clenched her fists and smiled. "You're right. I always feel bad that you have to cheer me up, but thank you. I won't let it get to me, I'll do my best." Seeing her smile reassured me, but at the same time, my distrust toward Troy only grew stronger. As time passed, I noticed Molly looking increasingly exhausted. She used to be the one suggesting, "Hey, there's somewhere I want to go. Want to come with me?" and we'd often go sightseeing or shopping together. But lately, she had been shutting herself in her room, sighing heavily, or not even getting out of bed. Concerned, I suggested, "How about we go eat something delicious?" But she just murmured, "Yeah, but I don't feel like going out today." Eventually, spending weekends alone became my new routine. I told myself that everyone has times like this, that we didn't have to go out all the time. But seeing how her smiles had dwindled, I couldn't help but worry. I kept inviting her out every weekend until finally, she said, "Well, if you insist, maybe I should go out today." So we went shopping downtown. We browsed accessories and clothes in a boutique when suddenly, Molly's face darkened. "Isaac, let's get out of here." I followed her out of the store, but the moment we stepped outside, a man called out from behind us. Well, if it isn't Molly. A middle school graduate shopping for new clothes? You should just stick to wearing second-hand junk for life. The words were sharp and cruel. Molly didn't say a word. She just stood there, her expression tense. I immediately had a hunch. I turned to the man and asked, "Are you by any chance from Molly's company?" "Nice to meet you. I'm her husband, Isaac. Thank you for looking after my wife." The man scoffed, barely acknowledging me. Then he turned back to Molly and sneered, "Damn. You sure bagged yourself a fine husband for a middle school graduate." His rude attitude, insulting right in front of me, made me so angry that I wanted to grab him by the collar. But I held back and forced a bright, fake smile as I deliberately responded with words I didn't mean, saying, "Oh, I'm flattered. I wouldn't say I'm impressive at all. In fact, I'm glad that Molly has a boss like you." Then, lowering my voice so he couldn't hear, I added, "A truly remarkable boss who can't even manage a proper greeting." The man frowned in confusion and glared at me. "Let's go, Isaac." "Excuse us." With that, Molly took my hand and led me out of the store. It was then that I realized the rude man from earlier was none other than Troy, Molly's workplace nemesis. He really did have an awful attitude. And I could only imagine how stressful it must be to work with him every day. Thinking about it, I said, "Hey, Molly. If you're not happy at your job, you don't have to stay. I can support us, so you can quit if you want." She smiled and replied, "Thank you. But I don't want to give in so easily. I'll keep trying." Hearing that, I couldn't help but worry if she was pushing herself too hard. "Does Troy always talk to you like that?" I asked, genuinely concerned. She sighed and said, "He's always bringing up my education, constantly reminding me that I only have a middle school diploma, like it makes me beneath him. But honestly, people assume that if someone didn't finish high school, it must be because they were neglected or just lazy. I get it. And in the end, It's my own fault that I didn't go to high school. She said it with a hint of sadness in her voice. I immediately spoke up, trying to reassure her. Molly, that's not true at all. The reason you didn't go to high school, or rather, couldn't, wasn't your fault. At an age when you should have been focusing on just studying and your own future, you were helping your family. And because of that, you stepped into the workforce earlier than most people. That's something to be proud of. You've always worked so hard. I respect you so much. I knew that Molly hadn't gone to high school because her parents divorced when she was in middle school, and she grew up in a single-mother household. Her mother wasn't in good health, and financially, things were tough. But it wasn't like her mother had asked her. Molly had made that decision on her own, choosing to enter the workforce early to help. And the fact that she had risen to a managerial position at such a young age was something I had always admired about her. Hearing my words, Molly suddenly burst into tears. I'm sorry. It's just that I can't seem to prove myself at work. I chose to work instead of going to high school because of my family situation. But because of that, I've only caused embarrassment for you and my family. Having someone like me in the family must be humiliating, right? I'm really sorry. She sobbed uncontrollably, tears streaming down her face. I panicked, trying to comfort her. Humiliating? No way. Molly, you're my greatest source of pride. She wiped her tears, took a deep breath, and whispered, I'm sorry. Thank you. Then, she looked up at me with newfound determination and said, I'll keep doing my best. But the more she pushed herself, the more I worried that she was just wearing herself down. There were plenty of other workplaces out there, and given how capable she was, I was sure she could find another job easily. But no matter how many times I encouraged her to change jobs, she always said, no company would hire someone like me, a middle school graduate. I just have to work hard and prove myself here. And so, she endured. Months passed. Then, one day, something great happened. Molly came home with an unusually bright expression. Noticing this right away, I asked, something good happened today, didn't it? With a smile, she said, that obnoxious Troy got transferred. And the new department head, Kai, is a really nice guy. The whole atmosphere at work has improved, and for the first time in a long time, I actually enjoyed my day at work. Hearing that, I felt relieved and genuinely happy for her. That's amazing. It really makes a difference by who you work with. I'm so glad Kai is a good person. I said that. Thank you, Molly replied. From what she told me, that rude man we ran into while shopping, the one who always looked down on her, was Troy. A man in his 40s and the son of the company president. The president, Casey Sawyer, was a self-made entrepreneur who built the company from the ground up. Now at 70 years old, he was apparently considering stepping down and passing the role to his son. Troy had been transferred to the New York headquarters, and rumors among employees suggested that the leadership transition was imminent. I see. I'm glad that obnoxious Troy got transferred, but if he's the next president, that doesn't sound good at all. When I commented, Molly quickly agreed. Right? If Troy becomes president, it's going to be a nightmare. He's obsessed with academic credentials. So he'll always look down on me. I might as well give up on promotions and raises. When I was hired, Mr. Sawyer told me he values ability over education, which is why I joined in the first place. That's a problem. We need to find a way to keep him from taking over. I muttered without thinking. But Molly, instead of dwelling on it, brightened up. Well, honestly, because of Troy, I was never given proper work anyway. Now that he's gone, I can finally take on real tasks and prove myself. Kai already recognizes my abilities, so I just need to keep pushing forward. Seeing her so determined reassured me, and I wanted to support her. Then, 6 months later, Molly came home with big news. Isaac, guess what? I got a promotion. Both Kai and Mr. Sawyer recognized my work, and starting next month, I'll be promoted to section chief. Seeing my wife so excited, I felt genuinely happy for her. But that happiness didn't last long. She continued, and what she said next shocked me. Anne, I'll be transferring to the headquarters next month. What? It was supposed to be good news, but my immediate reaction was confusion. Molly had a mixed expression, happy yet troubled. She had been working at a branch office outside the main city. But now she'd be moving to the company's prestigious headquarters in New York, surrounded by skyscrapers. It was definitely a step up. But that means you'll be working where Troy is, right? I voiced my biggest concern. Molly gave me a small nod. Well, but it's the headquarters. There are tons of employees. You probably won't have to deal with him much, right? I said, almost trying to convince myself. But she shook her head. Troy is a department head there. And I'll be a section chief in his department. So, I'll be working directly under him. She sounded disappointed as she said it. No way. Isn't there any way around this? I really don't think you should have to work with him again. I said, panicking. I had seen how miserable she was because of Troy before, and I couldn't stand the thought of her going through that again. I know, but now that both Kai and Mr. Sawyer have recognized my abilities, I doubt Troy will be able to treat me like before. She said, her eyes filled with determination. She was right, that was how things should be. And she had grown, both in her skills and her confidence. Yeah, you should show Troy just how capable you are. He won't have anything to say after that. I said, genuinely believing in her. But I never could have imagined what would happen just 2 weeks later. On the morning of Molly's first day at headquarters, she was dressed sharply in a gray suit, looking more polished than usual. Before leaving, she smiled at me and said, "From today, I'll be heading out before you. Sorry, I won't be able to make your coffee anymore." Good luck, Molly, I thought to myself as I watched her leave. I didn't care about promotions or raises, I just wanted her to be able to thrive in a place where she could prove her worth. I spent the day worrying about her but went to work as usual. That evening, when I returned home, Molly was already there. "I'm home, Molly. You got back before me, huh? How was your first day?" I asked while setting down my bag and taking off my jacket. I hadn't looked at her properly yet. There was no response. Maybe she didn't hear me? I stepped closer, about to ask again. Then, I looked at her face and froze in shock. She was crying. What? What happened? Molly. What's wrong? I panicked. She was crying silently, holding back her sobs. Somehow, it was even more painful to see than if she had been wailing out loud. It was the kind of sadness and frustration that cut deep. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Why are you apologizing?" I asked, confused. She shook her head and said, "I really am incompetent. I never should have been promoted." Then she started crying again. A bad feeling crept over me. "Did Troy say something to you?" I asked, and Molly's quiet sobs grew a little louder. That was all the confirmation I needed. Just when she had finally been able to shine at work, just when she had been recognized for her abilities and promoted, Troy was back to ruin it all. It felt like we were right back where we started. Honestly, I was beginning to think she should give up on the promotion and request a transfer back to her old branch. Anything to get away from Troy. "Molly, is there any way you can transfer back to your old branch?" I asked. She shook her head. "No. It's impossible to reverse a personnel transfer like that. And besides, I worked so hard to become a section chief." She answered through her tears. "I understand that, but people like him don't just change overnight. I'm more worried about you getting drained by all of this," I told her. At the same time, I hated the idea of her career being derailed by such a pathetic excuse for a boss. Then, Molly finally started talking. Actually, today, I was sent home an hour after I arrived. Troy told me, there's no work for an incompetent person like you. So just go home. Some of the other employees tried to stop him, but he stood there watching me the whole time until I left. Why does he hate me this much? And the worst part is this. She reached into her bag, grabbed a strap that was sticking out, and pulled something up. It looked like an employee ID badge. Normally, an ID like that would have a photo, name, department, and job title. But something caught my eye. There was a large, bold word printed across it, caution. What the hell is this? I leaned in and took a closer look. Below Molly's name, written in bold, unmistakable letters, were the words, incompetent middle school graduate. My hands trembled as I held the badge. My head filled with rage. I couldn't believe that a workplace full of adults, professionals, could stoop to something this childish and disgusting. Who made this? Before I could even finish asking, Molly said, of course it was Troy. Of course it was. There was no one else in that office petty and cruel enough to pull something like this. Molly had earned her promotion fair and square. But Troy didn't even care to acknowledge her skills. He was still hung up on her education. Still using it to humiliate her. This wasn't just bullying, it was beyond pathetic. This is blatant workplace harassment. There's no way he's getting away with this, I said, and Molly nodded weakly. Yeah, but since he's Mr. Sawyer's son, no one dares to stand up to him. I understand the logic behind it. Society is like that. There are many unreasonable things that cannot be defied by blood or power. I bit my lip. Then a switch flipped in my head. If that's how it is, then I won't hold back. I don't care what you say, Molly. Troy crossed the line. And I'm going to make sure he pays for it. Molly looked at me, wide-eyed in surprise. The next moment, I pulled out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and made a call. The phone rang and rang. No answer. I hung up and immediately called again. I kept calling over and over. By the time I realized it, I had already called 10 times. Finally, on the 11th call, the person on the other end picked up. Isaac? It's me. I was in the middle of a business meeting and couldn't answer, but when I saw 10 missed calls from you, I'll be honest, I was terrified. Normally, people wait a while before calling again. Ah, this is what they call blowing up my phone, isn't it? I may be old, but I still know some modern slang. Ha ha ha. The voice on the other end laughed heartily, completely unaware of my seething rage. I, on the other hand, was furious. Mr. Sawyer? The $634 million contract is off. Your company is finished. What? Wait a minute. What are you talking about? What's going on? He was clearly flustered, but I didn't stop. This isn't sudden. I'd been holding back for a long time. But I've had enough. You allowed your son to insult and humiliate my wife. Sure. It was your son who did it, not you, but that doesn't mean you can wash your hands of this. The fact that you let someone like him run free makes you responsible. You made the mistake of pissing me off. So your company is going to take a $634 million hit. And let's be honest, it won't survive. This is the end for you. I let it all out. And I felt damn good about it. The person on the phone was none other than Mr. Sawyer, the president of the company where my wife, Molly, worked. And as for how I knew him, well, that was simple. I owned my own company. And not just any company, one of the largest business partners of Mr. Sawyer's firm. Recently, my company had started using parts manufactured by his company in our production line. It was a new business relationship, one that I had carefully orchestrated for this very moment. Ever since his disgrace of a son, Troy, started harassing my wife, I had been planning this exact scenario. My company started out small but worked hard to scale up. My company was small at the beginning, but I grew it steadily, and through direct negotiations with Mr. Sawyer. I intentionally made his company dependent on me by doing large-scale transactions. Mr. Sawyer also jumped on this large deal and became heavily dependent on the revenue from my company. And it seems that he also proceeded to invest in many new machines. Wait. Your wife? Are you telling me that woman with the same last name as you in my company, she's your wife? Mr. Sawyer yelled in shock. That's exactly right. I figured you might have noticed. But let me ask, if you had known, would you have stopped your son from humiliating her? Because I don't think this is about who she is at all. I think it's about basic human decency. And, as expected, Mr. Sawyer had no idea what had happened today. Your son, Troy, gave my wife an ID badge that said incompetent middle school graduate on it. Then, within an hour of her first day at headquarters, he ordered her to go home, saying there was no work for someone as useless as her. That's a clear compliance violation. When I explained this, Mr. Sawyer said over the phone, "Oh my. No way. No way," and moaned repeatedly. I deeply apologize. My son's behavior is completely unacceptable. Please, forgive me. Just please don't cancel the contract. We've already increased expenditures expecting the revenue from this deal. If you pull out now, my company will collapse. Mr. Sawyer was desperate. But frankly, I didn't give a damn. Troy had humiliated her, degraded her, and reduced her to tears. That was unforgivable. And letting it happen, raising someone like that and planning to hand over a company to him made Mr. Sawyer just as guilty in my eyes. I'll do anything. Anything. Just please don't destroy us. I beg you, Isaac. Please. Mr. Sawyer was pleading now, practically groveling. Then, Molly, who had been silent until then, interrupted, wondering if the caller had heard her voice. Isaac, I want you to let that much go. Mr. Sawyer is not a bad person. It's Troy who is bad. God, my wife was too kind. I fell in love with her all over again in that moment. But I wasn't ready to let this go. I get it, Molly. But as a president myself, let me say this: a leader is responsible for everything their subordinates do. Maybe Mr. Sawyer is a good man. But that doesn't change the fact that this happened under his watch. That's just how it works. When I explained this to Molly, she fell silent as if thinking a bit. Then she said, Isaac, thank you. If it weren't for Isaac's action, I would have been ruined by Troy's harassment. May I make a proposal to Mr. Sawyer? She said in a strong tone. I couldn't refuse her when she said that, so I handed her the phone I was using while on a call with Mr. Sawyer. Mr. Sawyer, this is Molly speaking. I apologize for involving my husband in this, but I had no other choice. The truth is, your employees, including myself, feel powerless against your son. Because he is your heir, no one dares to speak up. And he knows this, he uses it to his advantage. He especially targets employees with lower academic backgrounds, verbally abusing them and blocking their promotions. I was told during my interview that your company values ability over education. You said that yourself. But that philosophy hasn't been passed down to your son. So I ask you, do you really intend to make him the next president? Please reconsider. Molly spoke clearly and firmly. I couldn't hear what Mr. Sawyer said in response, but the conversation continued for a while. I watched silently as Molly stood her ground. Then, after some time, she handed the phone back to me. Thank you, Isaac. Mr. Sawyer wants to talk to you again. So, I took the phone. I owe you both an apology. Molly is absolutely right, and it made me realize my mistake. I was too busy to educate my son. And I did not know what he was doing to his subordinates in the company. I should have been paying more attention. But I let myself believe that Troy was just misunderstood. I ignored the reality of the situation. This is my failure as a father and as a president. I should have never let this happen. I am truly, deeply sorry. Mr. Sawyer's voice was heavy with regret. Then, Molly spoke up again. Isaac, Mr. Sawyer understands now. Please, let this go. I still want to work at this company. I just got promoted, so I want to earn my place here. So let's continue doing business, under one condition. Troy must be demoted. He can't be next in line for president. All the other employees don't like him, so it's for everyone's sake. I hesitated. It felt like they were ganging up on me. But in the end, I nodded, reminding myself that what was important was Molly's willingness to continue working here. Fine. Mr. Sawyer, you heard her. Troy is out. Demote him. Remove him from the succession plan. And I don't want him anywhere near my wife. If you can promise that, we'll continue doing business. I relayed my message to Mr. Sawyer. But as I said it, another thought crossed my mind: shouldn't Troy just be fired outright? I was about to suggest it when, before I could even open my mouth, Mr. Sawyer spoke first. I'm firing my son. I finally understand. He's lived his whole life knowing nothing but my company. Even if I demoted him, I don't think he'd change. What he needs is to start over from the ground up, in a completely different company. He needs to learn basic professionalism and workplace manners before anything else. Hearing that, I suddenly realized why Molly had defended Mr. Sawyer earlier. And it made me happy. I think that's the right call. Not as payback or anything, but honestly, it's for his own good too. Oh, I've got an idea. How about he works as an entry-level employee at my company? I'll train him properly. I grinned at my own genius idea. You'd really take him in? I would be incredibly grateful. I was worried that no other company would be willing to take in a problematic 40-year-old man who got fired from his own father's company. Thank you. Mr. Sawyer unexpectedly agreed without hesitation. He said he was grateful, but in reality, I had only made the suggestion half out of a scheme to make Troy, who had harassed my wife, my subordinate, and work him hard. Well, now that it's decided, I'll train him properly and turn him into a man who won't be an embarrassment in society. Mr. Sawyer was lenient with his son, but at his core, he was an honest president. As a way to repay him for listening to my wife's opinion, I felt determined to make sure his son would grow into a capable person, even though he's older than me. And with that, the situation was settled for now. Molly had a rough first day at the headquarters, with Troy giving her a hard time, but from the next day, with a change in department head, things became peaceful, and now she should be able to fully utilize her abilities. Hey! My father told me to come, so here I am, but why the hell do I have to work at this company? Troy suddenly exploded with frustration at me, seemingly unable to properly argue against the order given by his father, the company president. Trying to hold back a laugh at his obvious attempt to act tough, I introduced myself. I'm Isaac Tucker, the president of this company. Starting today, you'll be working here as one of my employees. I look forward to working with you. You, calling yourself a president? You're younger than me. I'm Mr. Sawyer's son, the future president. I outrank you. Troy immediately rebelled against me. Again, trying not to laugh, I responded, "Oh, didn't your father explain everything before you came here? The whole future president thing? That's not happening anymore. At your current state, Being president is a far-off dream. Forget being president, you won't even make it to department head, section chief, or even a low-level manager. You're not even fit to be a regular employee. You completely lack basic professional etiquette. What the hell? You bastard. His mental age was that of a grade schooler. No, even worse. Rebelling won't change anything. Think about it. If you're standing here now, it means you've already been fired from your father's company. If I hadn't hired you, you'd be unemployed. Your only work experience is at your dad's company, where you were hated by your subordinates and caused endless problems. No company in the US would hire someone like you. Not even for a part-time job. If an employer had to choose, they'd hire a high school or college student over a useless middle-aged guy like you. I laid it all out bluntly. What? Don't mess with me. Acting all high and mighty. Troy became even more agitated. I, on the other hand, could barely hold back my laughter. Well, I get that you're full of complaints, so I'll let you vent for today. Say whatever you need to say. And then I'll introduce you to your trainer. From today onward, you'll listen to her and do exactly as she says. Understood? Seeing how unfazed I was and how I spoke to him as if he were a child, Troy seemed to give up and fell silent. Seeing that, I called in my secret weapon. Erica, I'm counting on you. Yes, Mr. Tucker. The woman who walked in was Erica, an employee, who was 1 year younger than me. She was by far the sharpest and most capable employee in our company. Mr. Tucker, is this the guy? The one who disrespected Molly? Erica spoke with clear disdain. That's right. But if you let that thought get to you, you'll just end up resenting him. So please, keep a level head and train him well. Mr. Sawyer has done us a favor by helping Molly's career, so let's return the favor by shaping this spoiled child Troy into a proper working man. Understood, Mr. Tucker. Erica responded calmly. Disrespected Molly. What the hell are you talking about? Troy shouted, confused. What am I talking about? Don't play dumb. Molly is Molly. The wife of Mr. Tucker, who's standing right in front of you. I heard you insulted her repeatedly at the company. You see, back in our college days, I worked at a coffee shop with both Molly and Mr. Tucker. Molly was the most brilliant and capable senior I had. She was someone I deeply respected. And yet, you, a clueless second-generation heir who knows nothing about the real world, had the nerve to insult her? Do you understand why I'm furious? I will never forgive you. So be prepared. Although she became emotional mid-sentence, Erica finished her words in a calm tone. What the hell? How did this even happen? Molly, she's a middle school graduate, isn't she? With such low education. She deserves to be looked down on. As soon as Troy said that, Erica spoke up again. That's right. And as I just told you, she is also the wife of our company president. Were you even listening? You just disrespected the wife of the person who was about to hire you. Do you get that? Watching Erica nearly scream in anger, I almost burst out laughing. Troy, overwhelmed by her intensity, shrank back. I'm sorry. Troy finally apologized. You think it's okay to look down on someone just because they have less education? How ignorant can you be? There are plenty of successful people with little formal education, and on the flip side, there are countless highly educated people who are completely incompetent at their jobs. Like you, for example. Erica spoke with great intensity. I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. Troy shrank back even more. I secretly praised my own HR sense. Assigning Erica as his trainer was the right choice. All right then. We're heading out to greet our clients right away. First, you'll have to relearn how to properly introduce yourself. You're my junior now, so don't you dare try to act out of line." "Yes, ma'am." Troy completely surrendered and obediently followed Erica. I quickly stopped him and called out, "Troy, here, take this, your business cards. Make sure you bring them with you." I handed him a simple card that only had his name, no job title. Then months passed, and although Troy's poor memory meant he wasn't much of an asset as an entry-level employee, thanks to Erica's training, he at least learned some basic manners. His rebellious attitude toward me also faded. Though reluctant, he finally accepted me as his employer. During the company holiday party, a question I had been meaning to ask came to mind, so I turned to Troy. "Troy, I heard you used to look down on all employees without a degree at your old company, but you especially targeted Molly with insults. Why was that?" Hearing my question, Troy straightened up and answered, "To be honest, I was under a lot of pressure as the president's son, knowing I'd have to take over the company one day. Deep down, I was anxious. Molly was quick to learn and immediately gained favor with my father and other executives when she joined. I was jealous of her. And then one day, my father told me, 'You should learn from Molly and start achieving real results.' That frustrated me even more. Then, by chance, I saw her resume and realized she had only finished middle school. I was shocked. My father always said he didn't care about academic backgrounds. But I had struggled through college entrance exams and managed to get into college. I wanted that effort to be recognized. But instead, my father kept praising Molly's work. That's when I decided, if I couldn't beat her in performance, I'd look down on her education." I nodded in understanding. Troy, in his childish desire for his father's approval, had seen Molly as a rival and abused his position to torment her. "You were truly an idiot," I said bluntly. Troy grimaced and, as if squeezing it out from deep within, muttered a sincere apology. Watching him, I realized how much he had changed since joining my company. And so, time passed, 10 years went by. 7 years ago, my wife and I had a daughter, making us a family of 3. Before giving birth, Molly took maternity leave and then returned to work. However, when our daughter started elementary school, she decided to change careers. Using her years of experience as a coffee shop employee, she opened her own cafe. Even before launching her business, her career as a corporate employee had been remarkable. At Mr. Sawyer's company, she was promoted to section chief 6 months after joining the headquarters. Another 6 months later, she became a department manager. Her rapid rise surprised many, but her skills were undeniable, and everyone in the company fully supported her well-earned promotions. Compared to when Troy was a department manager, things were completely different. Molly was well respected by her subordinates, and the company's revenue was steadily increasing, much to Mr. Sawyer's delight. Even when she went on maternity leave, the entire staff begged her to return as soon as possible. So when she decided to leave the company and open her own cafe, not only Mr. Sawyer but all the employees tried to convince her to stay. In the end, everyone respected her decision, and she left on good terms. Many of her former employees now visit her cafe to take a break from work, further proving how well-liked and respected she was. Watching this, I found myself admiring her even more. As for who replaced Molly as the department manager, I had hoped that Troy, whom I had trained at my company, would reclaim the position. But Mr. Sawyer determined that he still wasn't ready for that level of responsibility. Thanks to Molly, the department had already developed strong talent, so instead of his son, Mr. Sawyer promoted another trusted employee to the role. I'm sorry, Mr. Tucker. It seems my training wasn't enough to turn Troy into someone Mr. Sawyer could recognize as a leader. Erica apologized to me. But it wasn't her fault. Troy, whose mental age had been shockingly low when he first joined, still had a long way to go before he could truly be management material. And he understood that himself. So even after 10 years, Troy is still working at my company, continuing to do his best. "Mommy, there's a customer." Our daughter, Luna, had just come back from school and was stopping by Molly's cafe for a snack when she spotted a man at the entrance and called out to her mother. Molly came out from the kitchen, and the man hesitated slightly before ordering. "I'll have an iced coffee and, the strawberry tart, please. You worked as a department manager at my father's company, raised a child, and now you've successfully opened your own cafe. I really respect you. I said a lot of terrible things about your education back then, and for that, I'm truly sorry." "It's fine, Troy. I'm not the type to hold grudges over the past. Since you're here, take your time and relax at the cafe." Troy smiled, looking genuinely happy, and after taking a sip of his iced coffee, he smiled again. I watched the scene unfold from the shadows, feeling unexpectedly touched. I couldn't help but think that I could never match Molly. She was warm, broad-minded, and incredibly intelligent. I had asked her multiple times to come work at my company, but her answer was always the same. "If I helped out, I'd just slow you down, Isaac. So I'll pass." I knew she only said that out of excessive modesty, and every time, I thought to myself how completely wrong she was. But now, I wonder, maybe she meant that she was so capable that she'd expose all of my weaknesses. Maybe that's what she meant by slowing me down. I don't think I'll ever ask her directly because I'm honestly too scared to hear the answer. But one thing is certain, Molly makes the people around her happy. And I'm grateful that Luna and I are the ones who get to stay closest to her in that circle. At the end of December, on a bitterly cold day that felt like everything might freeze over, we were running a little late as we headed to the venue for our year-end party. When we arrived at the Italian bar that served as the venue, there was a person standing at the entrance. "Madison? What are you doing out here in this freezing cold? Your face is so pale, and you're shaking. Why aren't you going inside?" Megan said this to Madison, a new hire, who responded with a strained smile. "They told me, a country bumpkin with only a high school diploma has no place at this party. Why don't you just wait outside?" As she said this, her forced smile dissolved, and she began to cry. While heading to the venue together, my junior, Megan, exclaimed angrily, "Those guys," and exchanged glances with me. "James, is it okay if I give them a piece of my mind?" She rolled up her sleeves, ready to storm into the bar, but I calmly stopped her. "Leave this to me," I said, before calling someone on my phone. "My name is James. I've been told my mother passed away giving birth to me. My father, having lost his beloved wife, initially kept his distance from me, but maybe because I resembled her, even as a boy. By the time I was old enough to remember, my memories were filled with my father's overwhelming affection for me. Still, raising a child alone must have been hard. During my preschool years, I was often sent to stay with my grandmother, so I don't have many memories of my father from that time. Thankfully, my father earned enough money for us not to struggle financially. But after I entered elementary school and my grandparents moved into a care facility, I often ate meals alone at home, feeling lonely and isolated. Hoping to spend more time with my father and help him in some way, I started learning how to cook. For a grade schooler, I think I did pretty well. Once I got the hang of cooking, I even started making my father's lunch for him. Hearing him say, "Thank you, it's delicious," brought me so much joy, and I became more and more invested in cooking. While weekdays were often lonely, my father made time for me on weekends. Those weekends were precious to me, my one chance each week to be with him. During weekdays, I spent most of my time reading books that had belonged to my mother. Though I had no memories of her, reading the books she had collected gave me a sense of what had moved her heart, what kinds of stories she had loved. It made me feel connected to her and helped ease my loneliness. Eventually, I became a voracious reader, completely hooked on books. In preschool, the other kids would ask, "Why doesn't James have a mom?" By the time I entered elementary school, rumors got worse. James's mom must have cheated and left him. I saw that on TV, or poor James, his dad's probably so strict because his mom isn't around. The baseless gossip made me hesitant to make friends, and I ended up spending most of my time alone. That's why books became like dear friends to me. Even though I was a loner at school, things changed when I was in 4th grade. Alright, everyone, take your seats. We have a new friend to introduce today. Nice to meet you all. My name is Matthew, and we've just moved to this area. I love playing sports. Looking forward to getting to know everyone. Matthew, a bright and friendly boy with great athletic skills, quickly became a popular figure in the class. It was about a month after Matthew joined. I was sitting alone, as usual, reading a book. Hey! That's a great book. Do you like it? Matthew had come over to talk to me. Yeah. This is my 5th time reading this series, but it never gets old. That's how Matthew and I bonded over books. On days when Matthew didn't have club activities after school, the two of us would go to the library, read together, and share our thoughts about the stories. One day, during a casual conversation, I mentioned to Matthew that, being from a single-father household, I often ate my meals alone. He immediately responded, "Why don't you come over and eat at my house? You're always welcome." I was thrilled and eagerly accepted his invitation to visit his home. James. Welcome. Oh, so you're James? Matthew always talks about you. Come on in before the food gets cold. Matthew and his mother warmly welcomed me, and I sat down at their dining table. It was dinner time, but Matthew's father wasn't around. Curious, I tilted my head, wondering if he was working. Then Matthew said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, we're a single-mother household." I was a little surprised but simply replied, "I see." I know very well how much I hated it when I talked to my classmates about being from a single-parent family. They would look at me with pity or curiosity, and it made me uncomfortable. But when I told Matthew about it, he treated me the same as always, talking to me normally and even inviting me out for a meal like this. I also never bring it up, and the way I treat him hasn't changed at all. That seemed like the best approach. Then I took a bite of the meal Matthew's mother had prepared. It was incredibly delicious. The food I'd made for myself or the meals I'd cooked with my father on weekends were great too, but this felt fundamentally different. So this is what they mean by a mother's cooking. I silently marveled, deeply moved. Matthew and his mother watched as I quietly wiped away a tear, eating enthusiastically while muttering, "It's delicious. If you'd like, James, you're welcome to come eat here anytime." From that day on, I began having dinner at Matthew's house about twice a week. Their kindness gave me so much comfort, but as life often goes, partings come unexpectedly. In 6th grade, my father's job required us to move, and I had to change schools. This meant I had to leave Matthew behind. Still, he was my best friend. Even after we started middle school, we stayed in touch. During summer and winter vacations, we'd visit each other and chat about anything and everything. One summer vacation during my 2nd year of middle school, Matthew approached me with a serious, slightly hesitant expression. "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" "Of course." "What's going on?" I asked. He explained that his mother was getting remarried. He wanted to support her happiness, but he couldn't help feeling conflicted. He opened up and shared everything he was feeling. "Though there wasn't much I could do," Matthew said, "James, you're the only one who truly knows about my family situation. Being able to talk to you about this means a lot." That gave me the courage to open up about my own struggles. I haven't really been able to fit in at my new school. We both shared things we couldn't even tell our families, solidifying our bond as irreplaceable best friends. After graduating from middle school, I went on to high school. While I considered going to college, I wanted to start working in a field I was passionate about, which is books. After graduating from high school, I began working as an editor at a publishing company. The deadlines were relentless, and I often worked late into the night, barely getting any sleep. But just being surrounded by books made me happy. And I found the work fulfilling. Most of my colleagues were college graduates, and I was sometimes mocked for being just a high school graduate. However, as a voracious reader who devours over 1,000 books a year, I had confidence in my writing and vocabulary skills. Thanks to my efforts and results, I was eventually assigned to work with a prominent author. Thanks to my dedication and ability to mentor others, I became a chief editor at the young age of 30. And then, in the spring of my 5th year as chief editor, it was once again time for the arrival of new hires. Most of the time, the new hires were college graduates, but occasionally, someone like me, straight out of high school, would join. This year, there was one such person, and I already felt a sense of connection to them. Nice to meet you, I'm Madison. I'm 18 years old and still inexperienced. But I'll do my best to build great relationships with the authors I'll be working with. I look forward to working with all of you. When I realized she was 18, I thought to myself, so, she's also a high school graduate, just like me. But when I looked at her face, I saw that she was far more mature and beautiful than I'd expect for someone her age. I could tell my team was equally impressed, as they took one look at her and murmured, "Oh," in admiration. While admiration was fine, some of the male employees started favoring Madison to win her approval. This favoritism quickly earned resentment from the female employees, who began treating Madison coldly. Although Madison herself had done nothing wrong, a hostility persisted. She didn't talk back, which only fueled the jealousy. "She's so full of herself because she's beautiful," some female employees whispered. "She probably thinks we're all beneath her." Megan, the only one assigned to mentor Madison, treated her kindly and often stood up to the female employees who acted coldly toward her. However, the harassment didn't stop, and Megan often worried, saying, "I hope Madison is okay." It was true that Madison was beautiful, but favoritism would only cause problems, so I had spoken to the male employees about it several times. Even so, the female employees' attacks didn't let up. That said, their actions never crossed a line that could be addressed formally. But they were so underhanded and insidious that it left me feeling frustrated as we headed toward the end of the year. While I was busy with year-end tasks, Henry approached me. "James, great work. Why is the end of the year always so busy?" "Oh, right. By the way, we're planning a year-end party to celebrate everyone's hard work this year. Would you like to join us?" Henry, a slightly over-the-top but energetic junior who brings a lively atmosphere to the workplace, invited me to the year-end party. "Sounds good. Count me in," I replied with a smile. "Oh, you've got to come too, Meg." "Wait, me too?" "I still have a pile of work to finish, so I'll probably be late, but sure, I'll go." "That's the spirit. Always up for a good time, huh?" Henry calls Megan Meg and looks up to her as a senior employee. If she joins the year-end party, it's sure to be a lively and cheerful gathering. That evening, I had plans to go out for drinks with Matthew after work. Reflecting on it, I told him, "It's kind of surreal that the guy who used to quietly read books alone in the classroom is now going out for drinks with his team." I also mentioned that I had already been invited to the year-end party earlier that day. Matthew laughed and said, "James, you might come off as reserved at first, but once people get to know you, they realize you're reliable, easy to talk to, and great at your job. It's no wonder. Smooth with the compliments, huh?" I joked, but I couldn't deny how much his words meant to me. The next day at work, the office was unusually restless. It wasn't out of the ordinary for things to be bustling, but this felt different, off, even. I was feeling a bit uneasy when Megan suddenly called me over, saying, "James, can I talk to you for a moment?" She then led me to a quiet spot where no one else was around. Actually, there was some trouble between Henry and Madison earlier. Apparently, Henry had asked Madison, "Why don't we sneak out of the year-end party and go for drinks, just the two of us?" The favoritism toward Madison had all started because of Henry, and everyone in the team had already noticed he had feelings for her. But it seems Madison firmly rejected him. Afterward, Henry reportedly left with a parting shot, saying something like, "You'll regret this," which left everyone murmuring, wondering if things were okay. Henry was popular and cheerful, known for going out drinking with women often. He probably hadn't expected to be turned down. Well, Henry is a bit of a clown sometimes. I'll talk to him and smooth things over. Although I told Megan as much, I ended up so swamped with work that I didn't have time to follow up. Before I knew it, it was already the day of the year-end party. As expected, the workload was heavy at the end of the year, and I had to work overtime, meaning I would arrive late to the party. Henry had offered to help, but I told him, "You're the organizer this time, right? Don't worry, I'll wrap this up soon. Go on ahead and get things going at the party." Megan, who was also staying late for a separate task, eventually finished and said, "Finally done." "Wait, James, you're still here? Let me help you." I tried to refuse, but she insisted. "I'm part of the late-night crew too. It's not a big deal. Besides, going to the party alone would be awkward. Let's just finish up and go together." Grateful for her help, I accepted. As we worked, Megan brought up her concerns about Madison. She's being left out by the other female employees in the office. She's new to the city and doesn't seem too bothered on the surface, but she must feel lonely deep down. I'm worried about her. Yeah, that's been on my mind too. Megan's great at looking after people, so Madison isn't entirely without allies. But still, the more old-fashioned employees seem to be especially hostile toward her, and that's concerning. That said, in this day and age, saying the wrong thing could easily backfire, so I'm not sure how to handle this. I admitted, sharing my own concerns. We shared our frustrations as we worked, and before long, we were finally done. Since it had already been about an hour since the year-end party started, we hurried toward the venue. When we arrived at the Italian bar where the party was being held, I noticed a figure standing near the entrance. What are they doing out here on such a cold night? I wondered, just as I realized who it was. Megan said, "Madison? Out here in the freezing cold. Your face is so pale, and you're shaking. Why aren't you going inside?" As soon as Megan realized it was Madison, she rushed toward her. With a bitter smile, Madison explained, "Henry and some of the senior female colleagues told me. There's no way a country bumpkin with just a high school diploma belongs here. Why don't you wait outside?" As Madison spoke, her strained smile disappeared, and she began to cry. Megan, furious, exclaimed, "Those guys," and exchanged a glance with me. "James, I can go teach them a lesson, right?" she said, rolling up her sleeves, ready to storm into the venue at any moment. I quietly stopped her and said, "Leave this to me." With that, I picked up my phone and called someone. "I'm sorry you had to go through that. Let's head inside for now, it's too cold out here." Madison hesitated. But Megan reassured her, and together, we walked into the bar. Inside, Henry was holding a microphone, leading the party with his usual energy. Noticing us, Henry ran over. "James, you're finally here. Oh, and you brought Meg too. Let's get the party going." Henry didn't seem to notice Madison, who was standing behind me and Megan. "Henry." I found Madison outside, freezing. Care to explain why? For a moment, Henry's face tensed, but then he grinned and said, "Oh, come on, James." She volunteered to wait outside as a guide for you guys. I told her to come inside because it was cold, but she insisted. One of the senior women who had helped organize the party chimed in. Crying just because things didn't go her way. What a drama queen. Exactly. Hiding behind the men like that. And we all know you turned down Henry's invitation. Honestly, these young women today. Picking men based on their salaries. So shallow. It seemed that Henry, upset by Madison's cold treatment toward him, had come up with this plan and decided to carry it out. I was so exasperated that I couldn't even bring myself to sigh. As I debated how to put him in his place, Henry added fuel to the fire, mocking Madison further. You're so full of yourself just because you're a little pretty. Unlike a high school graduate like you, I worked hard, studied, and earned my place in this company. You didn't go to college because you hate studying, ended up here by sheer luck. And now you act all high and mighty? Who do you think you are? Other male colleague, who had also been ignored by Madison and were clearly drunk, joined in, shouting, "Yeah, that's right. Acting all stuck up. Ha! With just a high school diploma, you should be wagging your tail and buttering up to your senior colleagues like us," they jeered. Clearly enjoying themselves. Megan looked like she was about to lose it and start causing a scene. I placed a hand on her shoulder to calm her, smiled quietly, and then snatched the microphone from Henry. "Well then, let's begin our high school graduates only year-end party," I announced. As I spoke calmly but with a clear tone of anger, the sudden shift in atmosphere caused the entire venue to fall silent. In the midst of the silence, Matthew appeared, accompanied by several executives from the company headquarters. "Mr. Henderson, why are you here?" And with the top executives from headquarters. Henry stood there, visibly flustered. "Yes, Matthew is the CEO of the publishing company where I work. It's you, isn't it? The one excluding a new hire just because she's a high school graduate. Listen carefully. James, your supervisor, is a high school graduate. So is Megan, the senior you admire. And the executives here? All high school graduates. As for me, I took over this publishing company from my father, the previous CEO, 5 years ago. But I never even graduated high school. I dropped out. That's right, I only have a middle school diploma. Now, listen. It's true that college graduates probably worked hard and dedicated themselves to learning in order to gain a wide variety of knowledge. I'm not here to deny or diminish that effort. It's something that deserves respect. But that doesn't mean you have the right to look down on high school graduates. Sure, there may be people who dislike studying and avoided it. But that's not what we value at this company. At our company, we care about how much you value relationships, how much you can devote yourself to the people in front of you, and whether you can communicate effectively with the authors you work with. That has nothing to do with whether you're a high school or college graduate. We hired you because we believed you had that ability. That's why. When I heard about this incident from James, I was extremely disappointed. That's right. Matthew's passion for reading was recognized, and he was chosen to take over the business run by his mother's new husband. That business turned out to be this publishing company. As the successor, Matthew needed to begin training for his role as CEO immediately. Because of that, he dropped out of high school and began helping with the family business. Henry, having been reprimanded directly by Mr. Henderson, seemed deeply affected. Bowing his head, he apologized, saying, "I'm very sorry." With the mood completely soured, the party couldn't continue. The employees who had already been enjoying themselves quietly left. But those of us involved decided to start fresh with a high school graduates-only gathering, just as I had announced. Although Madison and Megan seemed nervous at first, surrounded by the executives and Matthew, I reassured them that everyone here was kind and approachable. As time passed, both of them gradually became more comfortable with the atmosphere. Madison smiled brightly and said, "I've always eaten alone since I grew up in a single-mother household. This is my first time having such a lively meal. It's so much fun. 3 days after the party, however, Henry was still absent from work. At first, the other employees were saying things like, "I guess it's hard for him to show up at work after all that." But by the third day, the rumors shifted to whether he might quit altogether. I, too, initially thought, it's got to be tough to be reprimanded directly by the CEO, and chose to overlook his unannounced absences. But I started to wonder if it was time to reach out to him. Then, that evening, I got a call from Henry. Noticing the incoming call, I quickly picked up. Right off the bat, he apologized, saying, "I'm sorry for being absent without notice." As I listened, I couldn't help but wonder if this was the call where he'd officially resign. However, what Henry said next was completely unexpected. Over the phone like this might not be the best way to ask, but could you assign me to Heather? Heather is a prominent author of historical fiction. Despite being young, Heather produces exceptional works that surpass even those of veteran authors. However, due to her youth, she has a much harsher attitude toward her editors and can be quite difficult to work with, offering a perspective that differs from that of seasoned writers. The previous editor assigned to Heather had recently resigned to care for their parents, leaving the position vacant. Finding someone to replace them had been a challenge. Heather was deeply attached to her previous editor and had been dismissive of anyone else who tried to approach her. I had already approached several people, but their responses were the same: "Heather? No way, there's no way I could handle that." And they all declined. Still, I wondered why Henry was suddenly so interested, so I asked him. He replied, "I couldn't fully accept what Mr. Henderson said." So over the past 3 days, I met with several of my former classmates who started working right after high school. Some of them told me they took jobs because they hated studying and just wanted to live freely on their own terms with the money they earned. Others said they started working right away to support their single-parent households and help their families. I even met classmates who are chasing their dreams or have already started their own businesses. During those 4 years I spent focused on my studies in college, they were out there gaining real-world experience. Some of them have grown far beyond where I am now. It made me realize how wrong I was to dismiss high school graduates as incapable or unworthy. Then I thought about why I joined this publishing company in the first place. As imperfect as I am, I love novels and want to support authors. That's why, even if people say it's impossible, I want to take on the role as Heather's editor. Impressed by Henry's determination, and since no one else had agreed to the role, I decided to give him a chance and sent him to meet Heather. This tea is too weak. Now it's too lukewarm. Can't you see I'm in the middle of writing? Stop talking to me. Actually, stop wandering around, you're distracting me. Heather snapped at Henry again and again. But Henry didn't give up. He thoroughly read all of Heather's works and spoke to her, saying, "Oh, this part is a bit similar to a line from one of your previous works." He continued, "Heather, your talent for emotional descriptions is extraordinary. Especially in the 3rd volume of this series, when that character looks out the window. The emotions conveyed are just incredible. You've read all my historical novels? They're not exactly geared toward younger readers. I'm surprised. As an editor, I believe in dedicating myself to understanding the author through their work. Knowing your writing helps me understand you." As they continued their interactions, it seemed that Henry had managed to win Heather over. I liked my previous editor because she felt kind of like a mom. But Henry. What is it about him? He's a bit cheeky. But working on my projects with him feels more like creating something with a friend. It's actually pretty fun. I think I can keep working with him. So send Henry as my dedicated editor from now on, Heather personally requested. Henry and Heather became known as the ultimate odd team in the department. Henry rose through the ranks to become a mentor to younger editors as a specialist in historical fiction. He's still as cheeky as ever, but the recklessness he used to have is gone. Watching him now, admired by his juniors, I couldn't help but feel relieved that he didn't end up resigning back then. On the other hand, Madison grew even closer to Megan after that year-end party. And the two have even started going out for meals together in their personal time. Since they're both high school graduates and the closest in age within the company, it seems they quickly bonded. Thanks to Megan's guidance, Madison flourished at work and was soon entrusted with mentoring new hires herself. Watching Madison guide her juniors, Megan and I couldn't help but smile and feel a sense of pride. One day, I heard that our old elementary school was set to be demolished. Taking a short break from work, Matthew and I returned to our hometown to visit it one last time. We asked the former principal if we could look around for old time's sake, and he graciously agreed. Matthew and I headed to the library where we had spent so much time as kids. I sat in the seat I used to occupy often back then, facing Matthew as we talked. That day, back in the classroom, when you talked to me, it saved me. I didn't grow to hate people because of you. I'm truly grateful, Matthew. Thank you. I conveyed this to Matthew once again. Looking slightly embarrassed, Matthew replied, "An editor's job is all about building connections, after all." The wind flipped through the pages of an old book forgotten on the table, almost as if it was whispering, "Thank you for coming back." With the start of the new fiscal year and summer approaching, it was a quiet day in May. I decided to visit a bookstore and reached out to grab a novel. At that moment, I noticed another hand reaching for the same book from a different direction. Surprised, I quickly pulled my hand back and glanced over to see who it was. Megan? Oh, James. The book we both reached for was from a beloved children's series, a bestseller that had been ongoing for over 30 years. Though it was meant for kids, it held a special place in my heart, filled with nostalgia. I wondered if Megan had her own connection to it. Curious, I decided to ask directly. What a coincidence running into you on a day off. Do you like this series? Yes. When I was in elementary school, my parents divorced, and I stopped going to school for a while. During that time, this series gave me so much comfort. It's a special one for me. Really? Actually, it's the same for me. Wait, you too, James? Realizing we shared similar childhood experiences and a love for the same books, we couldn't stop talking. On our way back, we decided to stop by a cafe. Over coffee, we swapped stories from our childhoods and talked endlessly about our favorite novels. While chatting, I glanced out the cafe window and noticed a young girl sitting alone on a park bench, engrossed in a book. A moment later, I spotted a boy around her age walking toward her, holding the same book. The girl looked up and noticed him as he called out to her. Watching them, I couldn't help but think of my first meeting with Matthew. It's like they finally found each other, I murmured. Megan, catching my nostalgic tone, smiled at me silently. Today, I'm attending a wedding. Not just any wedding, it's Henry and Heather's wedding. James. Meg. Thank you for coming. Well, it's not every day a junior colleague gets married. But honestly, I never thought Henry would end up marrying Heather. Right? To think there was a time people thought he might quit. Henry, you really pulled through. Please don't remind me. I'm so sorry for those days. We exchanged such pleasant and lighthearted conversation. By the way, how did you manage to win over someone as difficult as Heather? Well, you see. With a wry smile, Henry began to explain. When Heather attended a local class reunion, she was mocked and repeatedly called a middle school dropout, and returned home feeling humiliated. She abruptly called Henry and demanded, "Come drink with me," dragging him along to join her drunken venting session. During that time, Henry opened up to Heather about his own mistakes, including how he had once looked down on high school graduates. He held nothing back as he shared his regrets. Heather had listened carefully before finally saying, But the fact that you're here taking care of me shows you've learned from your mistakes. Doesn't it? It's impressive to not only recognize your failures but also to change. What I can't forgive are people who stick to their prejudices and refuse to question them. But if you've changed, you're not like them anymore. Moved by her words, Henry realized he admired her not only as an author but also as someone he wanted to protect. He confessed his feelings, and their relationship began. Heather's life hadn't been easy. Coming from a complicated family background, she had enrolled in an online high school but ultimately dropped out to pursue writing, which brought her the most joy. Her parents disowned her, forcing her to survive on her own. Though her talent eventually made her a best-selling author, her past left her guarded and often difficult to approach. But Henry's persistence melted her defenses, leading them to this moment, marriage. As the ceremony progressed, it was time for the bouquet toss. Henry leaned in and whispered something to Heather, making her laugh softly. When she tossed the bouquet, it sailed straight toward Megan, who caught it perfectly. "Meg, you're next. I know it might take a while with how clueless he is, but I'm rooting for you." Megan blushed as Henry waved his hand enthusiastically. I clapped along with everyone else, wondering if there was someone she had in mind. Megan glanced at me briefly, and it seemed like her face turned even redder. Was she embarrassed? At the time, I didn't notice anything. An editor's job is to connect people, fostering relationships and dedicating oneself fully to the person in front of them. The bonds created through books continue to bring people together, and from those connections, even more relationships are formed, spreading further and further. I reaffirmed my gratitude for every connection I have made and for those I will make in the future, vowing to live with that sense of appreciation in my heart. Hey you, the newbie. You've got nothing better to do, right? Give me a shoulder massage. After my returning to the headquarters for the first time in 10 years, Nathan, the department head who mistakenly thought I was a mid-career new hire, said this to me. What? Got a problem with that? Or do you want to get fired on your first day? Firing a small fry like you is as easy as snapping my fingers. For a moment, I could feel the blood rushing to my head. But refusing him would only cause unnecessary trouble. I had no choice but to endure. With that in mind, I started massaging Nathan's shoulders. Then, the beautiful executive secretary, Anna, appeared. Her cool eyes locked onto me. And then she said, "What do you think you're doing?" The moment her words reached my ears, Nathan's expression turned to one of utter shock. "Wait, what did you just say? You've got to be kidding." Him. Realizing the truth, Nathan collapsed as if the ground had given way beneath him. On that cloudy spring morning, I, Henry Carter, stood in front of the headquarters building for the first time in 10 years. Cherry blossom petals swayed in the wind, gently landing on my shoulder. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my nerves, but my pounding heart wouldn't settle. "All right, let's do this," I muttered to myself, as if to steel my resolve, and stepped into the building. I got into the elevator and pressed the button for the 7th floor, where the HR department was located. As the elevator ascended, I checked my reflection in the mirror. My suit was properly ironed, and my tie was perfectly straight. When I stepped off the elevator, the hustle and bustle of the office floor hit my ears. With the company president, Mr. Mitchell, in the hospital, there seemed to be an air of tension hanging over the place. As I began walking to locate the HR department, a low voice called out from behind me. "Hey, you." "Yes?" I turned around to find a middle-aged man with an imposing expression standing there. His suit was clearly expensive, and I caught a glimpse of his luxury watch. The ID card on his jacket read, Corporate Planning Director Nathan Walker. Nathan furrowed his brows as he looked at me. "You're a face I don't recognize." "Who are you?" "Nice to meet you. My name is Henry. I've been assigned to headquarters as of today." When I politely introduced myself, Nathan's eyes glinted sharply. "Oomph, so you're a mid-career hire. What department?" "That's..." "Come on, spit it out. Don't make me wait, newbie." Nathan's attitude left me feeling uneasy. I could sense other employees sneaking glances in my direction. Nathan's lips twisted into a smug grin. There was a clear sneer in his eyes. "Fine, whatever. You've got nothing better to do anyway, right? Give me a shoulder massage." "What?" I couldn't help but let out a yelp. The stares from the surrounding employees felt like needles piercing my back. "What? Got a problem with that? Or do you want to get fired on your first day? I'm the one running this company in Mr. Mitchell's absence. Getting rid of a nobody like you would be a piece of cake." Nathan's eyes grew sharp and menacing, his voice dripping with intimidation. For a moment, I could feel the blood rushing to my head. But refusing him would only cause unnecessary trouble. I just have to endure this for now. I took a deep breath and made up my mind. Clenching my teeth, I swallowed my anger. "Understood." I could feel a slight tremor in my voice. I stepped behind Nathan and cautiously placed my hands on his shoulders. "Hey, that's too weak. Do it properly. Are you even a professional? This is why mid-career hires are useless." Nathan sneered, his voice dripping with contempt as if addressing something less than human. Internally, I chuckled bitterly. To think I'd be treated like this by a department head. At that moment, the sharp sound of heels clicking echoed through the office. A woman appeared. It was Anna, the executive secretary. Tall and poised, she had a strikingly sharp face. Her glossy black hair was tied back into a high ponytail, accentuating her dignified presence. Her porcelain-like skin and deep, lake-like eyes fixed on me. Those eyes were fixed directly on me. My heart involuntarily skipped a beat, pounding loudly in my chest as she opened her mouth to speak. "Mr. Carter, what exactly are you doing?" Her voice, as cold as ice, resonated across the office. A look of confusion flickered across Nathan's face. His eyes darted back and forth between her and me. "What? Mr. Carter? What are you talking about, Anna?" Nathan's voice betrayed his bewilderment. Anna turned her frosty gaze toward him. "Just as I said. This is Mr. Carter, who has been assigned to headquarters as acting president starting today." A ripple of shock spread through the office. Nathan's expression changed from confusion to sheer disbelief. "Wait, you're joking, right? Him? The president?" His voice cracked as he stared at me, his eyes wide as if he were seeing a ghost. Anna's ponytail swayed slightly as she scanned the room with a resolute gaze. Her commanding presence left everyone breathless. "I believe an explanation is in order. Mr. Carter was designated as the successor to the president 10 years ago," she announced. Her words sent another wave of murmurs through the office. However, at Mr. Mitchell's direction, he was sent on various assignments to gain a wide range of experiences. Recognizing the need for a leader with broad knowledge and a global perspective in today's rapidly evolving world, Mr. Mitchell decided to prepare Mr. Carter accordingly. Anna briefly glanced at me, and I gave her a small nod. Over the past decade, Mr. Carter has worked in our affiliated companies, business partners, and even in unrelated industries, accumulating a wealth of knowledge and experience. From manufacturing to IT firms and even overseas postings, his career has been one of incredible growth. His expertise and vision make him uniquely qualified to lead us into the future. And today, he returns to us as acting president. Mr. Mitchell is confident that Mr. Carter's leadership will be a transformative moment for our company. When Anna finished speaking, the office fell silent for a moment. I bowed deeply and spoke quietly. "It's an honor to meet you all. I look forward to working with you." In an instant, the atmosphere shifted completely, as though a switch had been flipped. Mr. Carter, welcome back. Thank you for your hard work over the past 10 years. We're excited about the company's future under your leadership. The same employees who had been casting cold glances earlier now rushed toward me, showering me with warm words of welcome. Their faces beamed with smiles as if they were greeting an old friend. Amused by the abrupt change, I couldn't help but smile wryly inside. Everyone, please calm down. I'm still just the acting president. I want to work with all of you to make this company even better. I hope you'll continue to approach your work with sincerity, just as you always have. At my words, the employees erupted into applause. As the warm applause echoed through the office, Nathan's face twisted visibly. I noticed his clenched fists trembling with frustration. Damn it! I thought I'd finally have everything my way. The faint sound of his teeth grinding reached my ears. Suddenly, Nathan spun on his heel and strode off with large, hurried steps. He charged toward the office exit, his movements frantic and uncoordinated. His back shows neither the authority nor confidence he has shown in the past. All that remained was an aura of sheer misery. As his hand reached for the door, he stopped and turned back. His eyes, now filled with anger and frustration, locked onto mine. For a moment, we stared at each other, but Nathan said nothing. He left the office in silence, slamming the door behind him with a sharp, resounding noise. Watching his retreating figure, I let out a deep sigh. Just then, Anna quietly stepped to my side. Henry, what will you do now? Let's see. Anna, how is Mr. Mitchell's condition? Her expression darkened slightly. Not very good, I'm afraid. His fever spiked suddenly last night. The doctors have been monitoring him around the clock. But they still can't say he's stable. I frowned. The situation seemed far graver than I had anticipated. I see. We'll head to the hospital right away, I said decisively. Anna raised an eyebrow slightly. But, Henry, isn't there a board meeting scheduled to discuss the company's next steps? The meeting can wait. Right now, Mr. Mitchell's condition is the top priority. I need to speak with him directly to confirm his intentions and formulate our next course of action. Anna paused for a moment, considering my words, then gave a firm nod. Understood. I'll arrange for a car immediately. Thank you, Anna. I truly appreciate having you by my side. I'm just doing my job. Let's go, Henry. She replied without a change in expression. With a quiet nod, I walked alongside Anna, leaving the office behind. When we arrived at the hospital, the scent of disinfectant greeted us as I gently opened the door to the private room. Inside, Mr. Mitchell lay on the bed, his frail figure connected to a tangle of medical equipment. Mr. Mitchell, I called softly. His thin fingers twitched, and he slowly opened his eyes. Ah, Henry. You've come, he said weakly, though the glimmer in his eyes was as sharp as ever. Yes, I came right away, I replied, taking his seat in the chair by his bedside. The sight of his pale face and the IV in his arm spoke volumes about his condition. It was as bad as the rumors had suggested. I'm sorry to show you such a pitiful state. No. I found myself at a loss for words, and he gave me a gentle smile. You've grown so much, Henry. Your time outside the company has clearly shaped you. Your face, your manner of speaking. Everything about you is different now. It seems my decision to send you out was the right one. Use everything you've learned to support this company. There was unmistakable pride in his gaze. I nodded firmly. Yes. I will do everything in my power to fulfill your vision and repay the trust you've placed in me. I know you will. I have high expectations for you, Henry. Mr. Mitchell narrowed his eyes with satisfaction. The following day, I stepped into the executive office for the first time as the next president. Morning sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the grand, wooden desk at the center of the room. "Good morning, Henry." Anna's sharp voice rang out behind me, prompting me to turn around. She stood there impeccably dressed, holding a thick stack of files in her arms. "Good morning, Anna. Here's today's schedule. This morning, you'll have individual meetings with the heads of each department. In the afternoon, you have a critical meeting with one of our key clients." She explained efficiently, opening one of the files as she spoke. I nodded, quietly impressed by her meticulousness. "Thank you. First, I'd like to. Yes, I've prepared the materials for the finance department. Here are the financial reports from the past 5 years, along with an analysis of the issues identified." Anna, anticipating my next words, pulled out another file. I couldn't help but widen my eyes in surprise. "Impressive as always, Anna. This is incredibly helpful. It's simply part of my job," she replied matter-of-factly. Then Anna proceeded to provide a detailed overview of the company's current state. Organizational charts, the progress of major projects, and personnel challenges. Every piece of information was neatly organized and laid out. At first, the surrounding employees seemed uncertain, their faces showing traces of confusion. However, as time went on, their expressions shifted to curiosity, and they began watching us with growing interest. "Anna, thank you again. Thanks to you, I feel like I've gotten a good grasp of the situation," I said as we wrapped up just before lunch. For a brief moment, Anna looked surprised, but she quickly composed herself. "Not at all. Your insights were equally sharp, especially your suggestions on international expansion." Just then, my stomach let out a loud growl. Embarrassed, I let out a sheepish laugh, and for the first time, I caught a glimpse of Anna's faint smile. "Let's take a break for lunch. I'll show you to the employee cafeteria. It might be a good chance to connect with everyone." "Good idea. Let's go," I agreed. As we headed toward the elevator, a thought bubbled up inside me. "Anna, you're truly remarkable. Your work ethic, your attention to detail. I can't thank you enough for everything." At my candid words, Anna's movements froze momentarily. "As your secretary, it's only natural for me to support you," she replied, her normally steady voice slightly wavering. "No, it's not just natural. Thanks to you, I've been able to ease into this role smoothly. I'm genuinely grateful," I said, looking at her sincerely. A soft blush spread across Anna's cheeks as she quickly averted her gaze. "Well, I'm just..." She looked away from me, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I couldn't help but notice her fingertips trembling slightly as she did so. The usual cool demeanor she carried seemed to waver, replaced by a mix of confusion and subtle happiness. Her expression was an intricate blend of emotions. Seeing her like that made my heart skip a beat. Cute. The word floated unbidden into my mind, surprising even myself. At the same time, I felt a warm sensation well up deep in my chest. Shall we head to the cafeteria?" Anna's voice snapped me back to reality. Though she was trying hard to maintain her composure, her ears were flushed red, giving her away. Yes. Let's go." We began walking side by side. There was a slight gap between us, and an indescribable tension hung in the air as we walked. Out of the corner of my eye, I glanced at Anna. She, too, was stealing a look at me. Our eyes met, and in an instant, we both quickly turned forward again. What is this feeling? My heart continued to race like a drum. Later that afternoon, as the office quieted down, I was in the secretary's office with Anna, working on some tasks. The data I needed was stored on her computer, so I had come by to review it. Suddenly, Nathan burst into the room with large strides, his irritation plainly visible on his face. "Hey, Anna. Get those materials ready for the overseas project." And make sure the preparations for next week's executive meeting are done too. His voice was loud as he approached her desk. Without missing a beat, Anna calmly continued typing on her keyboard and responded in her usual composed manner. I'm sorry, Nathan. I'm currently focused on an urgent task assigned by Mr. Carter. Nathan's face visibly twitched. What? You're saying his task takes priority over mine? Yes, that's correct. At present, my role is to assist Mr. Carter, and his directives are my top priority. Please direct other tasks to someone else. Anna replied firmly, meeting Nathan's gaze with unwavering resolve. A vein bulged on Nathan's forehead, a clear sign of his rising anger. The surrounding employees glanced at the scene, stealing cautious looks while pretending to focus on their tasks. Grinding his teeth audibly, Nathan fixed Anna with a piercing glare. Listen here, Anna. You're just a secretary. I'm a department head. Do you understand what that means? Yes, I am fully aware. However, my current position is as the secretary reporting directly to Mr. Carter. According to company policy, his instructions take precedence. She replied without hesitation, her voice steady and calm. Nathan's face turned redder by the second. He glanced around the office, looking for someone to back him up, but no one stepped forward. In fact, some employees seemed to be admiring Anna's composure and professionalism. Damn it! You dare defy me! Don't come crying to me later when this backfires. Muttering angrily, Nathan spun around and stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him with a loud bang that echoed through the office. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then, all at once, the employees turned their gazes toward Anna, their eyes filled with admiration and respect. And then, gradually, the usual hum of office activity returned. Anna let out a deep sigh and turned back to her computer. However, I noticed that her typing was slightly slower than usual. Something only I, standing close by, could perceive. A week had passed since I began working as acting president. That day, the spacious conference room was filled with senior executives, their faces serious as they sat around the large table. Afternoon sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the documents laid out before them. Clearing my throat lightly, I began the meeting. Let's start with updates from each department. Please share your current status reports. One by one, the department heads presented their reports. Throughout the session, Nathan sat with his arms crossed, a perpetual scowl on his face. Once all the reports were concluded, I addressed the group. Does anyone have any questions or comments so far? After a brief silence, Nathan leaned forward, a glint of defiance in his eyes. Mr. Carter, do you truly understand the current state of our company? His tone dripped with sarcasm. And the tension in the room immediately thickened. What do you mean by that, Nathan? I asked, keeping my voice calm and composed. Nathan's lips curled into a mocking smirk. For instance, are you aware of the delays in our R&D department? Our product development cycle is significantly longer than that of our key competitors. I frowned slightly. It was true that I hadn't yet delved deeply into the specifics of that issue. Nathan noticed my reaction and pressed on. And that's not all. Our declining market share overseas, the shrinking profit margins of our flagship products, and the increasing turnover of talented employees. As he rattled off the list of challenges, I found myself momentarily at a loss for words. It was true that I hadn't yet fully investigated these issues. All eyes in the conference room turned toward me. I could feel the weight of their gazes, as if I were on trial. Spending 10 years outside the company, no wonder you're out of touch with our internal affairs. Nathan said, piling on with a cutting remark. His words stung, a sharp pang in my chest. But I couldn't afford to let my emotions show. Taking a deep breath, I steadied myself and met Nathan's gaze. Thank you for pointing these out, Nathan. I acknowledge that there are areas where my understanding is not yet complete. However, That's exactly why it's crucial to thoroughly assess our current situation and address these challenges. Based on your observations, I'd like to begin by conducting a detailed analysis of each department's operations. Before I could continue, Nathan abruptly stood up, his face a mix of contempt and anger. "Mr. Carter, do you really think you're capable of that? After 10 years away from the field, what could you possibly understand? You're right. It would be difficult for me to do it alone. That's precisely why I need the support of everyone here, including you, Nathan. Spare me your platitudes. This company won't improve with such idealistic nonsense." Shaking his head vehemently, Nathan reached into his inner pocket and pulled out an envelope. "I've had enough. I can't stay in a company like this. Here's my resignation letter. Effective today, I'm leaving. There's no future for a company under an incompetent leader like you." Nathan slammed the piece of paper down on the table in front of me with a forceful thud. "Nathan, please, calm down." But my words fell on deaf ears. Without another glance, Nathan stormed out of the conference room, his footsteps echoing down the hall. As the sound faded, a sinking feeling spread through my chest. This, however, was only the beginning. The next morning, Charles, the head of HR, burst into my office, his face pale with urgency. "Mr. Carter, we have a serious problem." "What is it?" "3 team leads from the R&D department have submitted their resignations simultaneously." "What?" I shot to my feet in shock. That afternoon, 2 more resignation letters came in, this time from the sales department. The following day, 2 team supervisors from the manufacturing department expressed their intent to leave. By the time the week began, the pattern had worsened. "Mr. Carter, more resignations have come in," Anna reported, her face drained of color. "Who this time?" "Ryan, the finance manager, and Emily, the deputy director of international operations." I buried my face in my hands, overwhelmed. In just 1 week, key employees from vital areas of the company had left. The ripple effects were unmistakable, uncertainty and fear had spread like wildfire. The atmosphere in the office grew darker with each passing day. Murmurs of unease drifted among the remaining employees. Who's going to quit next? Is the company going under? One afternoon, Anna approached me with new information. "Mr. Carter, I've done some digging. It seems Nathan has been orchestrating this from behind the scenes." "What?" "Most of the employees who've resigned have joined Nathan's new company. He's likely been enticing them with promises of better pay and benefits." I was stunned. I hadn't expected Nathan to go to such lengths for revenge. Damn it! I slammed my fist against the desk. The sound echoed through the tense office, and the sudden noise caused the nearby employees to flinch, their shoulders visibly jolting. "I'm sorry," I said, bowing deeply to them. The unease on their faces remained. What was once a lively, vibrant office now felt suffocated by tension and despair. Glancing out the window, I saw the sun sinking below the horizon. Was this company's future destined to sink as well? The following afternoon, I visited the hospital with Anna. We arrived just before the end of visiting hours. I had to report the situation to Mr. Mitchell. With heavy steps, I knocked on the door of the hospital room. "Come in," came a frail voice from within. We gently opened the door. "Excuse us, Mr. Mitchell. We apologize for intruding." In unison, our greetings brought a faint smile to Mr. Mitchell's face. "Ah, Henry and Anna. Thank you for coming." Lying on the bed, Mr. Mitchell appeared even thinner than the last time I saw him. Yet, the strength in his eyes remained unwavering. I took a seat beside his bed, exhaling deeply. Anna stood quietly behind me. "Mr. Mitchell, I'm so sorry. The company's situation has..." I began to recount everything, from Nathan's resignation to the wave of departures and the current crisis. By the time I finished, my voice was trembling. "Mr. Mitchell, I've failed. I couldn't live up to your expectations. At that moment, his frail hand reached out, gripping mine firmly despite his weakness. Henry, my decision wasn't wrong. What? Appointing you as the next president and sending you out into the world to gain experience, that was the right decision. Absolutely. His eyes met mine with a piercing sincerity. Yes, it's a challenging time. But this is part of the process for the company to regain its true strength. But, Mr. Mitchell, if we fear temporary pain, we'll never achieve real reform. Henry, I want you to carry on my vision and lead this company into a new era. His words sparked a newfound courage within me. I understand, Mr. Mitchell. I'll overcome this crisis. I promise. At that moment, Anna stepped forward. Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Carter. Even if I'm the last one standing, I will stay. I want to be part of rebuilding this company. Standing by Mr. Carter's side. Surprised, I turned to look at her. Her eyes shone with unshakable determination. Mr. Mitchell smiled with satisfaction. Anna, thank you. Having a capable employee like you stay is truly a relief. The two of you can overcome this crisis. I believe in you both. He looked back and forth between us before continuing his words of encouragement. The announcement for the end of visiting hours echoed through the hospital. Anna and I rose to our feet, bowing deeply. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. We'll make sure to honor your trust. As we left the hospital room, there was a new sense of resolve in our steps. In the hallway, I paused and turned to Anna. Anna, thank you. No need to thank me. This is what I'm here for. Together, we'll rebuild this company. She replied, meeting my gaze with unwavering confidence. I nodded quietly. Anna, could you schedule some time tomorrow afternoon for us to discuss our future strategies? Of course. I'll clear about 2 hours starting at 2 p.m. She replied with a gentle smile. The next afternoon, we gathered in a brightly lit conference room, sunlight streaming in through the windows. Let's begin, I said, nodding as Anna started tapping on her tablet. A large screen displayed the contents of her presentation. Let's begin with an analysis of the current situation, Anna said as she started her presentation. She laid out detailed data on employee turnover, financial performance, and competitor activity, presenting one piece of information after another with precision and clarity. The thoroughness of her analysis was so impressive that I found myself completely absorbed in her explanation. And now, here are potential solutions to address these issues. First, to stop the outflow of talent. We could create project teams led by younger employees, introduce an in-house venture program, and implement flexible work arrangements. Her proposals were concrete and innovative. As she continued presenting, each idea left me more impressed. Next, regarding new business initiatives, an IoT-based product line, subscription models, and a niche strategy for overseas markets. Anna showcased new business models backed by thorough market analysis and creative thinking. Every suggestion reflected meticulous research and originality. And finally, for improving our corporate image. As she wrapped up her presentation, I couldn't stop myself from exclaiming, "That's incredible! Anna, this is truly amazing." She smiled, slightly embarrassed. "Thank you, but there's still room for improvement. This is really excellent. Especially your new business ideas. If we tweak this here and adjust that part." Unable to contain my excitement, I stood up and began writing additional ideas on the electronic whiteboard based on her suggestions. Anna joined me, standing by my side and contributing more insights. By the time we finished, the whiteboard was completely filled with our combined ideas. As the meeting drew to a close, I turned to Anna. "Let's stop here for today. Starting tomorrow, we'll work on implementing these ideas." "Yes, I'm looking forward to it." We left the conference room with a sense of fulfillment. Walking down the hallway, I couldn't help but speak up. Anna, you're amazing. To put together such comprehensive proposals in such a short amount of time. Her cheeks flushed slightly, but she quickly returned to her usual composed demeanor. Then, she stopped by the window and gazed outside. Actually, when I first joined this company, I was in the sales department. What? I turned to her, surprised. She continued, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. I performed well in new business development right after joining, and I received some recognition. But it didn't last long. When Mr. Mitchell fell ill and Nathan began taking over authority, things changed. I started hearing things like, women shouldn't be so pushy, and instead of increasing sales figures, you should focus on making better tea. I couldn't stand it. So I changed to be a secretary. Her face darkened as she spoke. I couldn't help but clench my fists tightly. But, Anna, after all that, why did you stay with the company? I asked quietly. She stopped walking and turned to face me directly, her gaze unwavering. Because, you're here, Mr. Carter. What? My heart skipped a beat, pounding loudly in my chest. In her eyes, I saw a light I had never seen before. Mr. Carter, Anna took a step closer. The distance between us shrank, and her subtle fragrance reached me. I instinctively reached out, my hand moving toward her shoulder. But at that moment, Mr. Carter, we have a serious problem. The voice of Mark, the head of finance, echoed down the hallway as he ran toward us. Clearly agitated. Anna and I instinctively stepped apart, quickly averting our gazes. What's wrong? We've just received notice of a sudden contract termination from one of our major clients. His words yanked me back to reality. Understood. Let's deal with this immediately. I glanced back at Anna. She had already regained her calm demeanor, though her cheeks were still faintly tinged with pink. Anna, I'm sorry, but I'll need your help with this matter. Of course. I'll prepare the necessary documents right away. I thought I heard her sigh softly as she turned and walked briskly down the hallway. I watched her retreating figure, feeling a swirl of complicated emotions in my chest. But this wasn't the time to dwell on such things. We had a crisis to handle. I refocused my mind and headed to the meeting room with Mark. Still, the moment with Anna lingered in the back of my thoughts. 3 months had passed since we began implementing Anna's proposals. As I looked over the sales report in front of me, my eyes widened in surprise. This is... Just then, a knock came at the door, and Anna entered the room. Excuse me, Mr. Carter. Here's the latest performance report, she said, holding another set of documents. I smiled as I turned to her. Anna. I was just looking at this. It's truly... Yes. The recovery has exceeded our expectations. Anna nodded happily too. The new business initiatives Anna had proposed, particularly the IoT-driven product line, had been met with remarkable success in the market. Additionally, the formation of project teams led by younger employees had brought a significant shift in the workplace atmosphere, replacing stagnation with a renewed sense of energy and purpose. The sales figures for last month are up 15% compared to the same period last year. We're also seeing steady growth in acquiring new customers. Additionally, the employee turnover rate has significantly improved, thanks to the new evaluation system and training programs. Anna continued, her voice tinged with unmistakable joy. I stood up and gazed out the window. On the office floor, the few remaining employees were working with energy and enthusiasm. A stark contrast to the gloom from just a few months ago. Anna, thank you. Without your proposals, we never could have achieved this recovery. No, it's thanks to everyone's efforts. No, your contributions were pivotal. Let's keep working together to move forward, I said, meeting her gaze with conviction. She nodded and replied with a soft yes, her cheeks flushing slightly as she looked down. Just then, my phone buzzed. Glancing at the screen, I saw it was an urgent call from Jake, the head of sales. "Excuse me for a moment," I said, bowing my head slightly to Anna before answering the call. "Yes, this is Henry speaking. Mr. Carter, we've got a major problem. The large contract with Company A was suddenly cancelled." "What? Why?" "Apparently, Nathan has close ties with one of Company A's executives and has been spreading damaging information to undermine our credibility." I instinctively pressed a hand to my forehead. Anna noticed the shift in my expression and looked at me with concern. As I ended the call, I let out a deep sigh. "What happened?" she asked. "Nathan's been meddling again," I said, explaining the situation to her. Her face darkened. "I see. We were just getting back on track." "It's not just that. The trouble during last week's product launch? That was Nathan's doing too." "The issue with the product malfunction?" she asked, her expression tightening. I nodded. It turns out the malfunction wasn't an inherent problem with the product. Someone tampered with the software right before the event. "No, surely not." "Yes. Nathan's IT connection seemed to have been involved." Her eyes widened in shock. And then she exhaled deeply. "So that's why our stock prices took a hit." We spread out the documents again and began brainstorming countermeasures. After a moment of silence, Anna lifted her head, her eyes sparkling with inspiration. "Mr. Carter, I have a proposal." "Let's hear it." "If we can secure a deal with this company, it could completely change the situation," she said, sliding a company profile across the table toward me. "Evergreen Corporation?" I read the name aloud instinctively. "Yes. They're the largest electronics manufacturer in the country. If we can work with them, it would significantly boost our credibility," she explained with a confident nod. I examined the profile while mulling over the possibility. Securing a deal with Evergreen Corporation was undeniably appealing. But Evergreen Corporation. It's an excellent idea, but dealing with them isn't easy. They're known in the industry for their high standards and stringent requirements. I understand. But I believe our new technology aligns perfectly with their needs. Specifically, the IoT device we recently developed. Anna launched into a detailed analysis. She outlined Evergreen Corporation's recent product trends, market strategies, and how our technology could create a strong synergy with their business. Her presentation was so precise and compelling that I couldn't help but be drawn in. "That's why I believe this is the perfect time to approach them," she concluded. Taking a deep breath, I nodded. "All right. There's potential here." I stood up and gazed out the window, letting the view calm my thoughts for a moment. Then, I slowly turned around and looked directly at Anna, meeting her eyes. "Let's do it. We'll approach Evergreen Corporation." A smile of relief and joy spread across Anna's face. "Thank you. I'll make sure we succeed. I trust you. Let's start planning our strategy. If we can land a deal with Evergreen Corporation, we'll be able to counter Nathan's interference too." Together, we dove back into the documents, brainstorming a concrete plan for approaching Evergreen Corporation. At the Evergreen Corporation headquarters, top floor conference room, Anna and I waited, the tension palpable as we anticipated the arrival of our contacts. "Anna, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine," she replied, her voice calm, though I noticed her hands trembling slightly. Suddenly, the conference room door opened. "Thank you for waiting," a clear, commanding voice announced as a man and a woman entered the room, both dressed impeccably in suits. They appeared to be in their mid-30s, their sharp gazes radiating a sense of authority and professionalism. "I'm Andrew, Executive Director of Evergreen Corporation," the man introduced himself. "And I'm Grace, also a director," the woman added. Both of their sharp gazes locked onto us, their intensity filling the room. The moment Grace's gaze fell on Anna, her expression shifted noticeably. "Well, isn't this a surprise? Our family's black sheep showing up at such an important business meeting," Grace said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, it really is. I didn't expect to see you here." Grace and Andrew's voices were laced with unmistakable sarcasm. Anna's body stiffened momentarily. "Grace, Andrew," she said, her voice trembling. I turned to Anna in shock. "Wait, siblings." My mind was racing. Anna's brother and sister? And they're executives at Evergreen Corporation? Grace gave a cold smile as she continued. "Oh my, you didn't even tell your colleagues, did you? That you're the youngest daughter of Mr. Johnson, Evergreen Corporation's president? I'm sorry, Never mind. You've always been the family failure, the constant embarrassment," Grace said, her words cutting deep. Anna lowered her head, her spirit momentarily crushed. Hearing Grace's words, I almost couldn't stop myself from speaking out. How could they not see Anna's brilliance and capabilities? "Grace, this is a business meeting. Let's leave personal matters out of this," Andrew said calmly, his tone firm. Grace shrugged lightly. "Fine. Let's hear your presentation then," she said, her voice dripping with condescension, as if addressing a child. Anna took a deep breath and straightened her posture. "Thank you. Allow me to introduce our company's new product," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. But I noticed her hands trembling slightly. Anna took a deep breath and switched to the next slide. Her voice, which had initially wavered slightly, grew steadily stronger with each word. "This IoT device reduces power consumption by 30% compared to conventional products while doubling processing speeds." Her explanation was clear and logical. I found myself once again deeply impressed by the depth of her expertise. However, Grace's expression remained cold and dismissive. "Quite the bold claims. Are you sure such feats are even possible?" Grace asked, her voice laced with sarcasm. Anna flinched slightly but quickly steadied herself. "Yes, it's absolutely possible. Please take a look at this graph." Just as Anna began presenting the data, Andrew raised his hand to interrupt. "Anna, are those numbers really accurate?" "Yes, they are. We've verified them multiple times internally." "Well, considering my sister's personality, isn't it possible she's exaggerated a bit?" Grace remarked, a faint smirk playing on her lips. Anna's face flushed slightly. "That's not true." Enough, just move on to the next point. Let's not waste any more time," Grace said dismissively, waving her hand. I almost spoke up in Anna's defense, but I saw her subtly shake her head, urging me to stay quiet. She exhaled deeply and switched to the next slide. "Next, I'll explain the market potential," Anna said, though her voice trembled slightly. Despite her nerves, she continued her explanation, pressing on with determination. However, Grace and Andrew's attitudes remained unchanged. From time to time, they exchanged condescending smirks, their dismissiveness palpable. "Well, can she really pull off something that grand?" "Anna, you always tend to overstate things." Their comments were relentless, chipping away at Anna's resolve. I clenched my teeth in frustration. How could they fail to see her brilliance, her dedication, and the immense effort she had put into this? By the time Anna concluded her presentation, a light sheen of sweat was visible on her forehead. "That concludes my explanation," she said, her voice quivering from exhaustion and tension. Grace offered a cold smile. "Well, you tried. But I was expecting something a bit more realistic." "Anna, it seems there are still many things you're lacking," Andrew chimed in with a faint sigh. Anna lowered her head, murmuring a small yes in response. I reached out, intending to place a comforting hand on her shoulder, but she instinctively drew back slightly. Her eyes brimmed with frustration and embarrassment. The atmosphere in the room was suffocating, heavy with judgment and disappointment. Taking a deep breath, I gently placed my hand on her shoulder, grounding her for a moment before stepping forward. I raised my head and fixed my gaze on Grace and Andrew. "Excuse me, but may I ask you a question?" I said, my voice unexpectedly calm. Grace glanced at me with a disdainful look. "What is it? Are Mr. Johnson and the head of your company aware of this discussion?" The room instantly froze, the tension palpable. Grace and Andrew's expression shifted in an instant, their smugness replaced by unease. Anna, too, looked up in surprise, her eyes wide with disbelief. "What do you mean?" Andrew's voice quivered slightly, betraying his unease. "The fact that Anna was chosen as the presenter for this meeting and the unfair treatment she has received from both of you. These are the 2 points I'm referring to." To my understanding, Evergreen Corporation prides itself on a culture of fairness and transparency. Allowing personal biases, especially stemming from family relationships, to influence judgments would go against your company's core principles. Wouldn't it? I fixed my gaze firmly on the two of them, my tone calm but resolute. A heavy, oppressive silence fell over the conference room. Anna muttered softly, "Mr. Carter." Her voice carried a mix of surprise and something else, perhaps gratitude or hope. Grace and Andrew exchanged nervous glances, their composure clearly faltering. "Well, that's..." Grace faltered, her voice uncertain. I offered a calm smile. "If Mr. Johnson isn't aware of this situation, I'd be happy to report it myself. After all, I believe full transparency is essential for fair decision-making." Grace's expression twisted into a defiant smirk. "You? Report to Mr. Johnson? Don't make me laugh. Do you really think someone from a small company like yours could even get an audience with him? That's impossible," she said, her voice laced with mockery. Andrew nodded in agreement. "Exactly. Someone like you would never get to meet our president. Is that so?" I asked quietly, maintaining my smile. My calm tone seemed to unnerve them both, their expression shifting slightly. Actually, during one of my previous assignments, I had the opportunity to meet with many presidents of major corporations. "In fact, I've met Mr. Johnson before," I said, choosing my words deliberately. The atmosphere in the room shifted dramatically. Grace's face turned pale. What did you say?" "Impossible," Andrew muttered, beads of sweat forming on his brow. Anna gasped softly, her wide eyes betraying her astonishment. "Yes. I met Mr. Johnson at a business forum last year. He was a very approachable man, deeply interested in new ideas and innovative technologies." Grace and Andrew stared at me in stunned silence. "Come to think of it, Mr. Johnson mentioned wanting the younger executives in your company to broaden their perspectives. I believe he would find a project like this to be of great interest," I added, almost as if remembering something suddenly. Anna's eyes widened, filled with surprise and a flicker of hope. Grace opened her mouth as if to respond, but no words came out. Meanwhile, a bead of sweat glistened on Andrew's forehead, betraying his growing unease. "If you don't mind, perhaps we could arrange another discussion involving Mr. Johnson to review this matter more thoroughly?" I said calmly, my tone measured and polite. Grace and Andrew's faces visibly betrayed their unease and fear, their earlier confidence completely shaken. Just as the tense silence weighed heavy in the room, the door suddenly opened. Everyone turned in shock to see a middle-aged man standing there with a kind and composed smile. "Mr. Johnson!" Grace and Andrew exclaimed simultaneously, their voices filled with shock. Mr. Johnson slowly entered the room, his calm and composed demeanor radiating authority. His gaze first fell on me, warm and familiar. "Henry, it's been a while. It's good to see you're doing well. Mr. Johnson, I didn't expect you to join us in person," I said, standing up instinctively. Mr. Johnson nodded, his expression still gentle. I was looking forward to seeing you again. I still vividly remember your passion and ambition from the last time we met." Then, his eyes shifted to Anna. Startled, she stiffened as his gaze settled on her. "And Anna, I've reviewed your proposal. It's excellent." Anna, clutching her documents with trembling hands, looked up at him. Her eyes reflected a mix of confusion and hope. "Father, Anna, I've always known that you had talent." "What?" He stepped closer to her and placed a kind, reassuring hand on her shoulder. Her eyes widened in astonishment. "That's why I deliberately sent you to another company. I wanted you to discover your worth on your own." With his words, tears welled up in Anna's eyes, spilling down her cheeks. I always believed, that I was nothing, just a failure like Grace and Andrew said. I knew you saw yourself that way. That's why I thought it was important for you to step outside, into the wider world. I believed you would realize your own strength and abilities." Anna's voice trembled, thick with emotion. Years of suppressed feelings surged to the surface all at once, overwhelming her. Mr. Johnson's own eyes glistened faintly with tears. "I'd been watching you from afar, watching you grow and realize your potential. Do you know how difficult that was for me?" Anna dropped her documents, unable to hold back anymore, and threw herself into her father's arms. "Father, I didn't understand. I'm so sorry." "No, Anna, it's me who should apologize. I should have expressed myself better. But seeing you rise and prove your strength on your own, nothing has ever made me prouder," Mr. Johnson said, gently patting her back. Anna looked up at him, tears streaming down her face but with a smile breaking through. Grace and Andrew stood frozen, their earlier arrogance completely gone. They seemed stunned into silence, their faces pale with shame and regret. After a long pause, Andrew finally spoke, his voice heavy with emotion. "Anna, the truth is, we always knew. We've known about your talent for a long time." "What?" Anna turned to Andrew, her expression one of disbelief. Grace, still looking down, gave a small nod. "Yes, we knew. We always knew how capable you were. More than us." Her voice trailed off, barely audible. Anna's eyes widened further with shock. Andrew looked directly at Anna, his expression earnest. "I'm sorry. We were jealous." "Jealous?" "Yes, jealous. Your creativity, your fresh ideas, and most of all, your relentless dedication. They were all things we couldn't replicate. So, instead of acknowledging your talent, we tried to deny it, clinging to our positions. Anna, your talent is undeniable. I'm truly sorry for all the hurtful things I've said. And I'm sorry too." Grace and Andrew bowed deeply. Large tears streamed down Anna's cheeks. "Grace, Andrew, I didn't know. But from now on, let's work together, using all of our strengths to build this company." Reaching out with her shaking hands, Anna grasped theirs. Grace and Andrew looked at her with surprise, then gratitude, their faces softening. Mr. Johnson let out a quiet sigh, his expression easing into one of calm satisfaction. "Now that the family matters are settled, let's return to the main topic," he said gently. All eyes turned to Mr. Johnson. "Henry, your company's proposal and Anna's presentation, both were excellent." "Thank you," I said, bowing slightly. Mr. Johnson slowly closed his eyes, taking a deep, measured breath. When he opened them, his gaze was calm yet resolute as he looked directly at me. "Evergreen Corporation will approve a partnership with your company. Is that true?" My voice wavered slightly, unable to hide my excitement. Mr. Johnson nodded with a warm smile. "Yes. Together, Anna's innovative ideas and your company's technological capabilities will undoubtedly create new value." Grace and Andrew silently nodded their agreement. Anna's face lit up with joy. "Thank you so much. This decision is for the benefit of the company. Now is the time for you to fully unleash your potential. Yes. Anna's voice carried a resolute determination. I bowed deeply, expressing my gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I will make sure to seize this opportunity and deliver results that bring value to both of our companies. I'm counting on you, Henry, Mr. Johnson said, nodding with satisfaction. Then, looking at Anna, he said, Anna, work closely with Henry to ensure the success of this project. Yes, Father. As Anna turned to look at me, our eyes met. Her gaze sparkled with joy and determination. I gave her a small nod in return. As I did, a sense of anticipation for our future collaboration began to rise within me, accompanied by something deeper, something special, that stirred in the depths of my heart. Leaving the conference room, I stepped into the hallway and let out a long breath. Turning to Mr. Johnson was supposed to be a last resort, and yet, to think Anna was his daughter. I muttered to myself, standing by the window and gazing at the cityscape as the day's events played back in my mind. It was true that my connection with Mr. Johnson had been a critical card to play. However, I had intended to use it only as a last resort. I wanted to believe in Anna's talent and succeed in this negotiation through our combined efforts and capabilities. Mr. Carter. Thank you for helping me so much, even without knowing who I really was. I turned to find Anna standing behind me, her expression a mixture of gratitude and vulnerability. I only believed in your talent. But honestly, finding out you're Mr. Johnson's daughter, I was shocked. Anna looked slightly apologetic. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret. There's no need to apologize, I replied, shaking my head. Anna looked down for a moment but then lifted her face, meeting my gaze directly. In her eyes, I could see a glimmer of something like determination, strong and unwavering. I grew up constantly being compared to my brother and sister. They'd say, Anna's no good or Anna can't do it. Even I started to believe it myself. She said, her voice trembling slightly. I remained silent, nodding gently, and listened intently to her words. But one day, someone told me I should value myself more. That I had talent and should believe in it. That person's words gave me the courage to trust in my abilities and try to prove myself. That's why I joined a company where I could test my potential. Her words stirred a vivid memory in my mind. It was several years ago when I had been asked to represent my company at a university job fair during an assignment. I recalled speaking to a lone student who seemed uncertain about her future. Wait, so you're... My voice trailed off as realization hit me. Anna smiled softly, her gaze warm. Yes. I was the student you spoke to during my job search. Your words changed my life completely. But why didn't you mention this earlier? I couldn't bring myself to say it. I thought I was just one of many students you'd met, someone insignificant to you. Anna looked down, a hint of embarrassment coloring her face. I gently placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Yes, I remember you. I can still recall the determined look in your eyes as you listened to me speak. It left a lasting impression on me. Really? Yes. That's why I approached you. My instincts back then weren't wrong, I said, smiling. Tears began to form in Anna's eyes. Mr. Carter, thank you. Without your words that day, I wouldn't be where I am now, she said, wiping away her tears. She then took a deep breath, gathering her courage, and looked straight into my eyes, her gaze filled with strength and something more. I like you, Mr. Carter. Ever since that day at the university job fair when you spoke to me, I've liked you. A moment of silence followed her confession. Anna's cheeks flushed a soft pink, and I found myself momentarily speechless with surprise. She continued, her gaze cast downward. Your kindness, sincerity, and how much you care for others. Every time I saw those qualities in you, my feelings grew stronger. She lifted her face, summoning all her courage, and looked directly into my eyes. I felt something warm and powerful swell within my chest. As I gazed into Anna's eyes, the clarity of my own feelings began to take shape, unmistakable and undeniable. I stepped closer to her slowly, deliberately. "Anna, I like you too." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "Really?" she asked, her voice filled with both hope and hesitation. I smiled gently. "Yes. Your passion, your dedication, and your warmth have changed something in me. I can't ignore how I feel about you anymore." Tears welled up in her eyes again. But this time, I could tell they were tears of joy. I reached out carefully and wiped away a single tear tracing down her cheek. Her cheeks reddened slightly at my touch, and my heart skipped a beat. "Anna." My voice came out softer than I expected, almost a whisper. She gazed back at me. Her eyes filled with a mix of uncertainty and hope. Tentatively, I reached out, placing a hand gently on her waist. Her body trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she looked up at me and gave a small, almost shy nod. That little gesture was so endearing it made my chest tighten. I glanced at her lips, inching closer, slowly. Suddenly, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed down the hallway. We quickly pulled away from each other, startled. As our eyes met, we both realized our faces were flushed bright red. The footsteps passed without stopping, growing distant. We both sighed in relief, and it was only then that I remembered where we were, still in the Evergreen Corporation headquarters. "Shall we head back?" I asked, offering an awkward, embarrassed smile as I extended my hand. Anna hesitated for a moment before giving a small laugh. Shaking her head slightly, and placing her hand in mine. On a cold, rainy day, I was scanning the business section of the newspaper when something caught my eye, and I froze. A bold headline announced the bankruptcy of the company Nathan had founded. "Anna, look at this," I said, turning to her as she sat beside me. Anna let out a small sigh as she glanced over the newspaper. "So, it's true. Nathan's company has collapsed," she murmured, her expression tinged with sadness. We had heard rumors about Nathan's company for some time, how his reckless expansion, poor management, and high-handed attitude toward both subordinates and clients had caused trouble. Just then, an employee burst into the office, visibly excited. "You won't believe what's happening in front of Nathan's company." Anna and I exchanged glances. "What's going on?" "There's chaos. Reporters and creditors have swarmed the place." I saw Nathan come out of the building. He looked completely different. His hair was thinning, his back was hunched, and he had dark circles under his eyes. He looked exhausted. He had to jump into a taxi to get away from the reporters. "I see." I exhaled heavily. They say he kept treating his clients with arrogance, and one by one, they cut ties with him. His pride was too high to listen to anyone's advice. In the end, he brought it upon himself. Anna said, her expression somber. I nodded slowly, reflecting on the lesson in Nathan's downfall. At that moment, Anna's phone rang. She picked it up, and her expression immediately brightened. "Henry. It's about Mr. Mitchell. His condition is improving," Anna said, her voice brimming with excitement. That news felt like a ray of light piercing through the gloom. From the following day, Anna and I took turns visiting the hospital to check on Mr. Mitchell's recovery. Seeing his face brighten more each day gave us the strength to push forward. A month later, to everyone's surprise, Mr. Mitchell recovered faster than expected and returned to work. The office erupted in cheers the day he came back, the atmosphere filled with joy and optimism. But shortly afterward, an unexpected development unfolded. "Henry, can you come to my office for a moment?" Though slightly puzzled, I followed him. Once inside the office, he looked at me with a serious expression. "Henry, I'd like to pass the role of president to you." The words left me speechless. "Wait. Mr. Mitchell, but you've just returned." He smiled warmly. During my time recovering, you and Anna carried this company forward admirably. Watching you now, I'm certain you're the one who can lead this company to an even better future. I still couldn't hide my surprise. But Mr. Mitchell, I still lack the experience. You'll gain experience with time. What matters most is your ability to trust your team and envision a brighter future. You have that, Henry. So, will you take on this responsibility? Mr. Mitchell's eyes reflected unwavering trust and confidence. I exhaled deeply, steadying myself. Then, with resolve solidified in my heart, I gave my answer. Yes, Mr. Mitchell. I'm honored and will give it my all. Mr. Mitchell nodded with satisfaction. Yes, I'm entrusting it all to you. I'll take on the role of chairman and act as your advisor. If you ever face difficulties, don't hesitate to reach out to me. As I left the president's office, I explained the situation to Anna, who was waiting outside. Her expression initially showed surprise, but it quickly softened into a warm smile. Henry, I know you'll be an incredible president. I'll do everything I can to support you, she said, her words giving me the push I needed to take my first steps as the new president. The first 6 months were filled with trial and error. But thanks to Anna's unwavering support, Mr. Mitchell's sharp guidance, and the dedicated efforts of the employees, the company slowly started to find its footing. By the time a year had passed, the company's performance had shown a clear upward trend. The new business division had gained solid footing, the market share of our flagship products had expanded, and the number of employees had doubled. The atmosphere within the company was more vibrant and energized than ever before. One quiet evening, after wrapping up a long day at work, Anna and I found ourselves standing on the rooftop of the company building. The city lights sparkled below, and a gentle night breeze passed between us. Anna, we've come this far because of you, I said, looking at her profile in the glow of the city. She gave a small, bashful smile. No, it's because of your strong leadership, Henry, she said, turning to face me with her sincere gaze. I turned fully toward her and gently took her hand in mine. Her hand trembled slightly, and I could feel her hesitation melt into trust. Anna, meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. Calling out to you on that day at the university job fair was the greatest decision of my life, I said, my voice trembling just a little. Her eyes shimmered with tears. I feel the same. Meeting you, Henry, it's made me so happy, she said, her voice equally unsteady. Our eyes locked, and for a moment, it felt as if the entire world around us had stopped. Anna, I want you to stay with me forever, not just as my partner at work, but as my partner in life. At my words, Anna's eyes widened in surprise. Henry, does that mean? Before she could finish, I wrapped my arms around her and pulled her into a warm embrace. She froze for a brief moment but soon relaxed, resting her head against my chest. I love you, Anna, I whispered softly into her ear, and her arms wrapped tightly around my back. I love you too, Henry. We pulled back slightly, our faces drawing closer until our lips met in a tender, heartfelt kiss. It was gentle, yet it carried the depth of all the emotions we had kept hidden until this moment. When we finally parted, Anna smiled softly, her cheeks glowing. Let's aim even higher, together. In work and in our relationship. Yes, together. With you, I know we can overcome anything. I nodded. As we gazed at the night view together, I felt a deep certainty within me. The path we had traveled was far from smooth, but everything had led to this moment. To the success of the company and to my love for Anna. It felt as though I had everything I could ever need in life. Let's keep giving it our all from tomorrow. Yes, she replied, her voice carrying both strength and warmth. I realized then that believing in your own worth and embracing your talents could lead to profound transformation. Success isn't about being swayed by others' opinions. It's about trusting your potential and pursuing it with confidence. From now on, I want to create a company where both I and the employees can value ourselves more. I believe that this will lead not only to individual happiness but also to the growth and success of the company. As Anna and I stood shoulder to shoulder, I began preparing for the new day ahead, filled with hope and determination. I was certain that the life awaiting us would be nothing short of extraordinary.